Timmy, you've just been made mayor of New York City for the day. How does it feel?
Good. I will make people very happy and do good things. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
More than 1,000 Jewish people are missing in New York City this morning, and police are treating this as a developing mass disappearance case with deeply alarming implications. Investigators have linked the vanishings to Timmy Reynolds, the 28-year-old man with Down syndrome who was ceremonially sworn in yesterday as a one-day honorary Make-A-Wish mayor. What began as a feel-good symbolic gesture has spiraled into something investigators are calling unthinkable. Right after his swearing in, Timmy announced his first and only initiative, a special outreach program to support and include the Jewish community amid rising reports of anti-Semitism in the city. Within hours, he organized an inaugural community event at a local rec center, and more than 1,100 Jewish residents signed up and attended, drawn by the promise of a safe, welcoming space to connect and discuss ways to combat hate. When the event ended, not a single attendee left the building.
I'm that big fat, it will kill me. The going side makes me stronger. Drive don't need to hurry up, man. I sure can't wait much longer. You know I got to eat right now. The line can't get much longer.
Princess, for the last time, Daddy is not a chud. Do I seriously have to explain what a Discord moderator is again? I am an online community operations manager. So, yeah. I'm not a freaking chud. I'm an elf.
And I need you. And I miss you.
Looks like I kind of fucked up. You've seen the pose and so have I. I got elected on no new awards, and now we'll be lucky if moons don't start to fly. I tried to cover up the Epstein files. Seems as though I'm a file. Always gonna keep you up, always gonna let you down, always gonna stab your back and betray you. Always gonna make you sigh, always gonna make you cry, always gonna tell you lies and betray you. I've been president for so long, then all this 6 years now, the swan's still in training, and side with both know what's been going wrong. Israel's got tapes of me diddling children, and if you wanted deportations, I've been less than Obama did. Always gonna keep you in, always gonna let you down, so can you turn around, I'll backstab you. Always gonna make you sigh, always gonna make you cry, always gonna tell you lies and betray you. Always gonna keep you up, always gonna let you down, so can you turn around, I'll backstab you. Always gonna make you sigh, always gonna make you cry, always gonna tell you lies and betray you. Bring it every bit of string daddy. Ooh, you know the kids, children. Always gonna give you up, always gonna let you down, sticking your tail around, I'll backstab you. Always gonna make you sigh, always gonna make you cry, always gonna tell you lies. Always gonna make you up, always gonna let you down, I'll backstab you. Always gonna make you cry, always gonna tell you
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're having a wonderful Monday night. We have lots of wonderful things to talk about. Well, some things more wonderful than others, but we got a lot to discuss. So, yeah, we got war in Iran heating up a little bit. We've got negotiations with China. We've got Cuba tearing itself apart. We've got, FPV drones hitting American bases now. T-show once again decides to blow up. Very cool. Thank you very much for that, Stealth Additive Works. We got Stealth Additive Works Defenders, the big news story for the day, at least as far as gun stuff goes, is going to be the allegedly leaked images of the civilian MP7, which has been teased for going on 2 decades now. So maybe that'll actually happen. We got some bad takes in the gun industry. We have LGBTQIA plus shenanigans and Virginia being gay, but what's new? So before we get into anything else, Richard, how is your night going, sir?
Good, good. I managed to make it out through the inclement weather and was at the range for the majority of the day today. Managed to meet up with Chest Rigger, Oprod Kids, if you guys are on YouTube and looking for him. Had a good day, despite the weather going from 20 degrees to 40 degrees and back about 50 times. Visibility from bright, clear sunshine to 50 feet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was good times. I do want to say to whoever the ethnic coded gentleman was who came in his Nissan Altima with his PSA dagger and his extended 43 round mag and wondering why the trigger don't reset with this clip in, it's probably going to be the $15 ETS mag that you were using. It could be the PSA dagger, sir. I'm not sure which. And I apologize.
Well, don't apologize to him. It's kind of an IQ test, right? Of which there probably weren't a lot of points floating around in the gentleman's head if you get suckered into the PSA dagger plus ETS pipeline wombo combo, which is sure to give you absolutely no reliability whatsoever. But hey, how about something good to start off the stream, shall we? How about a Gary Plausch Appreciation Day, okay? It is the anniversary of Gary Plausch taking out... Oh, whoa, what was that? What happened there? Can't even tell. You can see he is enacting immediate permanent justice upon the abuser of his child. And yeah, this is from his son, Jody Plausch. Amazing what social media has done for my father's legacy. May he live forever as a symbol of justice. So kind of a heartwarming LGBTQ plus story to talk about, right? Nice little opener, nice little warm up to get the stream going. It is indeed the anniversary of justice being applied to, again, by the father to the abuser of his child. It doesn't get much more base than that. So Godspeed out there, Gary, and of course Jody as well. It's good to have a father that you know is going to like, you know, the memes about like my dad could beat up your dad. Well, Jody's like, no, my dad would have killed your dad. Okay, that's how my dad rolled. American hero.
That if the revolver didn't do the trick, that Gary would have ripped the telephone out of the wall and just beat him with it.
Yeah, you used the telephone receiver for him.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, finally a heartwarming story. I know, some good news to open up with. But not everything is good news, of course. Unfortunately, today as well, as we knew last week, a refueling tanker went down in Iraq due to a mid-air accident. We're still not entirely sure of the cause, but we do know that it was not enemy fire or friendly fire. But one of the soldiers has been identified, one of the 6 crew members who is unfortunately no longer with us. Major Alex Klinner has been publicly identified by his family as one of 6 U.S. service members killed in this week's refueling operation over Western Iraq. He leaves behind a beautiful family, including his wife and 3 children. Now, of course, this is very tragic for the Klinner family, for his wife, for his 3 beautiful children. But it's also sad for us as a whole, right? We get, you know, if we're weighing up the options here, weighing up the trade deal, so to speak, we get higher gas prices and reduced munition stockpile and maybe World War III. And in return for that, we lose a good person. We lose one of the ones that we need to stick around. We sacrifice our best and brightest so that the worst of the worst can profit off of it. Very tragic. But pray for the family out there. If there is a GoFundMe, if there is some sort of support system for them, feel free to reach out and get that done. Do something good with that instead of wasting it all away. Now, something else we are going to talk about. This also happened last week. This is the unclassified footage of the Kharg Island assault, where, well, not assault really. We bombed it. We took out a lot of strategic assets on the island. However, we are leaving, for some reason, the oil infrastructure intact as sort of a negotiation tactic, as sort of a bargaining chip to not completely cripple Iran. If you don't know, before we play the footage, Kharg Island up here, northern corner of the Persian Gulf. This is where 90% of Iran's oil gets shipped. This is their big processing. This is where it gets loaded up. This is where it gets into the big tankers and gets shipped out, mostly to China, but to other places in the region as well. But 90% of their oil flows through Kharg Island, or goes from Kharg Island. So it is integral to their supply chain. It's integral to their finances. If they lose Kharg Island, their biggest export, their biggest moneymaker, is essentially gone, right? So now we have troops in the region, somewhere between 2,500 and 5,000 Marines. We have an amphibious assault group there, essentially. We've taken out a lot of military assets on the island. We've left the oil infrastructure intact, maybe so that we could use it when we eventually take the island. That could be very possible between now and next Friday. If I were a betting man, if there was going to be some sort of boots on the ground operation, Trump has a history of making the last two major moves have been on a Friday night, Saturday morning for them because the markets are closed. So if I were a betting man, if there's a poly market bet out for Friday morning, Friday night, maybe that is a good time to take that bet about when we take Kharg Island. Again, total conjecture on my part, but geopolitically speaking, we'll watch the footage first, but we'll get into it because if Charlie Cox says, I don't think it's a bargaining chip. The U.S. knows that if they hit that, Iran will respond in kind. Right. Well, we'll talk about some of the other things that are heating up. Here is the unclassified footage of alleged targets that we were hitting on Kharg Island. No audio here. And again, sometimes the targets aren't completely clear what we're actually hitting. But again, most of the oil from there flows to, of course, everything has to go through the strait, but it flows to China. China needs the oil. So indirectly, if we take this out, this is hurting China as well. Now, China is making moves in the South Pacific. They have a large battle group, the largest battle group that they've put up recently around Taiwan, Iranian regime. Yeah, I thought we won already. It's gone back and forth between winning and not winning. But again, just for reference, Kharg Island, northern edge of the Persian Gulf. And then you have the Strait of Hormuz, which is only about 20 miles wide, where everything has to go through. And unfortunately, a lot of stuff is stuck on either side, with about 20% of the world's oil and a lot of other very important resources coming through. Now, this is also posted up. This is around China area, where you have large battle groups coming in the area, tracking the different ships and whatnot that are sitting off of Taiwan right now. So things are certainly escalating. Some people are saying essentially this is the beginning stage of World War III. Maybe, very possible things are heading in that direction because, again, Iran and China are allies ostensibly. They do a lot of resource collection, meaning that China sends them money, Iran sends them oil, which they desperately need. They're a large country, a very energy-dependent country, and they need that. Now, also interesting is that we have another little development going on in our neck of the woods, in the Western Hemisphere, right? So at the same time that we're fighting in Iran, we're doing a bit of, geopolitics over there between trying to balance Iran, China, Russia, everything else going on in that region. And of course, our greatest ally is messing everything up as usual. But we also have allegedly, very allegedly, just like we heard in Iran, we have protesters torching the Communist Party headquarters in Cuba. Video appears to capture gunfire. So at the same time, we took out Venezuela. Venezuela's oil is now heading also, ironically, to the Middle East, to our greatest ally, and to us, of course. But Cuba was very, very dependent on their oil for energy. And now that they are no longer getting that from Venezuela, You could kind of see this mirrored a little bit between Iran and China, Venezuela and Cuba. Not exactly a one-to-one comparison, but there is some similarities there that they are kind of codependent in a way. But we see that the Cubans are having a great time. Randy says that he just wants Cuban cigars again. Maybe, you never know. You never know. But again, since we took out Venezuela, since we essentially retook our oil fields out there and our oil equipment out there, Cuba's not been having that great of a time. In fact, allegedly today, their power grid is no longer operational. People are going to be very, very upset when the communist country once again loses power and everybody has to get in bread lines. Everybody loves that. Cuba's electrical grid suffered a total collapse across the entire island on Monday. The country's power operator said, marking the largest nationwide blackout in recent years and the first since the U.S. effectively shut off the flow of oil to the island of roughly 10 million people. Now, this is actually a good thing. I'm actually much more okay with us doing things, us being the U.S. here, we exerting power in the Western Hemisphere against people who actually directly harm us, right? Iran, not really that big of a threat to the Western Hemisphere. Not really at all. You know, maybe a minor annoyance at best. But really only because we're messing around in the Middle East to begin with. If we weren't there at all, it wouldn't affect us in any way, shape, or form. Cuba, however, Venezuela, however, those guys can exert a little bit more problems for us, right? Because, I mean, they took our oil rigs, 15, 20 years ago at this point. So taking those back seems like a little bit of justice. Having Russia or China have assets in Cuba just off of our coast, I don't particularly like that, right? So if we just, kind of like Greenland, we'll take the island, okay? We'll send all of you to Nicaragua or something like that, and we'll use you as a little bit of a strategic offset point, a strategic, line of defense, much like Greenland. I think us having Cuba would be great. And of course,
take Cuba and turn it into our own Australia and just deport the criminals there.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know why we wouldn't just. I mean, it's probably like a really nice resort, so we should just take all the Cubans, put them somewhere else, and then use it as like a, military base / resort or something. I don't know. That's also not a bad idea to deport all of our problematic people to Cuba. Efforts are underway to restore power across the country, the state-owned operator said, adding that no faults were detected in the electrical units operating at the time the grid collapsed. Nationwide power outages have been reported frequently over the past few years. Cuban officials have previously attributed them to U.S. economic sanctions, though critics have also faulted lack of investment in the island's ailing generation system. And of course, weakening Cuba is good for us, right? Because they are so close just by proximity. If we can harm Cuba or, bring their leaders to negotiations, that would be a lot more effective and a lot more helpful to American interests than, again, something happening in Iran right now. Now, because of this, again, there are allegedly talks to delay the meeting between Trump and Xi Jinping because of what's going on currently in Iran. Now, again, Trump is not actually taking out the oil infrastructure in Iran, and he's asked Israel, will they listen, who knows, to also not hit their oil infrastructure yet. And in the midst of all this, we're delaying talks with China as they're, putting a battle group outside of Taiwan. So things are escalating. Things are moving just a little bit, okay? The little pieces they are on the board. They are moving. Where they're going, not entirely sure. Not entirely sure if anyone knows, but it seems like the pieces are there to make something big happen. President Trump said Monday that he's requested to delay his trip to China because of the war with Iran, now in its third week. He said during an Oval Office event that he was speaking to China and indicated he'd love to go, but because of the war, I want to be here and I have to be here, I feel. We've requested that we delay it a month or so, and I'm looking forward to being with him, Mr. Trump said of Chinese President Xi Jinping. Now, again, I don't think that Trump wants to be in China. while he's taking out, if we take Kharg Island on Friday or Saturday morning, I don't really think he wants to be in China as we cut off one of their larger oil imports, right? I don't think that makes for great negotiations. Or maybe it does. Maybe that's just a really baller move, to go to a meeting with Xi Jinping as you're cutting off his oil imports. I don't know. Maybe that's
when he sat down with Xi Jinping and he fired like 49 Tomahawk missiles into Syria, and then he asked if Xi Jinping would like chocolate cake. You remember that? That was allegedly going around for a while. They were at a dinner, and he leaned over and he said, "Yeah, I just fired Tomahawk missiles into Syria. Would you like some chocolate cake?"
Yeah, but I mean, is he going to go actually to China while he's cutting off? Like this is going to have a large economic impact to them, right? And especially, I actually think it would be a terrible idea, because if Trump is going to be in China, Trump takes out Iran's oil supply via Kharg Island, right? And that negatively affects China. China invades Taiwan while Trump is in China, right? I just feel like it's we don't need this sort of escalation. Like, none of this is good for us. None of this is good for our civilians. None of this is good for our people.
What is there really at stake to lose if Trump's there and JD Vance is at the White House? I'm just saying.
Well, why would you put yourself in that sort of situation?
Because I think that he sees himself as like a bargaining chip. Like when he went to North Korea and when he crossed over the DMZ, like he views his own presence as a bargaining chip.
What are we bargaining over?
How we're going to carve up Iran. Because China's not going to just let us take it.
Right. I'm not sure what his presence in China at the moment that we, cause offense to China helps us in any way, shape, or form. I'm also, I don't know if anyone's taking Iran anytime soon. I don't really think that's possible, not without some sort of major ground invasion. Again, it's just all we're doing is cutting off their oil exports if we take Kharg Island. Right? I don't think I don't think him being in China is any sort of bargaining chip or helps in any way, shape, or form. I don't know why you would put your leader in, harm's way for no gain. And again, North Korea is a very different sort of situation, because obviously he's had people in there ahead of time and he's the most secure person on the planet. And also North Korea ain't going to do anything, right? North Korea is not China.
I don't see China doing anything either.
Well, yeah, but he's got like actual work to be doing here, ostensibly, right? And it's if China invades Taiwan, U.S. will respond. It will be war. That will be war. You will have two wartime presidents on your enemy soil. Not a great idea.
Yeah.
Not a great idea. Anyways, moving on. There's some cool footage coming out, at least. This is one of the 20 mil cannons intercepting a drone. The U.S. CRAM just made a successful interception of a Iranian projectile at the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, Iraq. The CRAM system, jointly produced by Raytheon and Northrop Grumman, utilizes a 20 millimeter M61A1 Gatling to destroy incoming projectiles. Just listen to this rate of fire. Boom. Imagine being woken up by that in the middle of the night. Sounds like me after Chipotle. Yeah. He's giving them the birds. Very effective. Very cool looking. I always wonder though, you're launching like hundreds or thousands of these shells up into the air. Like, they gotta land somewhere, You just launched like 1,000 of these 20 millimeter shells, like, when they eventually land like miles away, right? They're going to be covering like an acre, basically. Yeah, where did the bullets land? Like, hopefully somewhere out in the desert, I guess, you know, but they miles and miles away, you're going to have thousands of these projectiles landing over like an acre, like 2 acres, you know, because at that point they'll all disperse and go to, you know, wherever they're going. That is fun. Very fun to be on the receiving end of that.
And
The ocean, I mean,
trajectory of
hopefully.
that thing's just like a water hose.
Well, yeah, but you got to think over the mile that they're flying, though, they're going to disperse. 2 miles, 3 miles, because I mean, they're launching them into the air. Those are going 4 miles. You know?
Yeah.
So at the end of that stream, they're going to be somewhere. Yeah. What's the ballistic coefficient of a 20 mil? Probably a lot. Probably a lot. But also now this is something that I actually find really distasteful is that if the war continues,
well, it's official.
we've been really beneficial here that we've seen a lot of footage coming out of Ukraine and Russia, and we've seen each side blowing up each other with these FPV drones. Unfortunately, if this continues, if there is some sort of land invasion of Iran, it will no longer be, wow, look at Russians and Ukrainians blow each other up. It's going to be our soldiers on the end of FPV drones, right? And that's going to be paraded around everywhere. Suddenly, it's a lot less cool when that's your brothers on the line versus just, you know, Slavs halfway across the world. And this is what will happen if there is some sort of ground invasion. I mean, even right now, there's no ground invasion, and we are seeing FPV drones making it out, making it into U.S. airspace, making it into U.S. bases. And luckily, so far, there haven't been many casualties. But if this continues, if it escalates, we will undoubtedly see more and more of this.
We are now getting FPV UAV footage recorded by extremist groups in the Middle East recording strikes on U.S. facilities. An Iranian-backed Iraqi militia, specifically known as Kataib Hezbollah, which is part of the Islamic resistance in Iraq, basically an Iranian proxy, posted the FPV UAV footage from a recent attack that they conducted against Victory Base, which was formerly known as Camp Victory, which is a pretty major U.S. military logistics hub located adjacent to Baghdad International Airport in Iraq. Now, the site's long supported and hosted U.S. forces and has served as a pretty key operational and support area in the Middle East. The attack and the video.
I mean, it is really lucky that there's just nobody walking around right now. You know, because that would be an easy target because this drone is like operating for like over a minute over this base. And it's really lucky that there's just nobody around.
From what I gather, it was evacuated because of the
possibility
drone.
of this.
Well, they had spotted one earlier in the day.
A release surfaced sometime between March 14th and 15th of 2026, which this Iranian-backed militia group publicly posted all over the internet, including X, Instagram, news outlets, all kinds of stuff like that. And in the video footage, you can see this UAV navigating the base before it crashes into a small building. Now, the reason this is a significant event is because FPV UAVs are relatively low cost, they're highly precise, and they're very difficult to detect and or intercept with traditional air defenses like what a lot of U.S. military installations have on them, especially if they're using fiber optic guidance for jamming resistance and things like that. Now, the fact they were able to use a small UAS to infiltrate the base and conduct a strike is a dangerous escalation in tactics, potentially inspired by the widespread FPV use in places like Ukraine or Malaysia or any.
Well, even if FPVs aren't very individually effective, you have to remember that they are effective as a tool of propaganda because you get literal first-person footage of you blowing up U.S. soldiers or U.S. assets, right? It goes a long way to bolster your own morale if you're, you know, sending in $100 or $40, you know, FPV drone and inflicting some sort of casualty on the enemy. So it's a tool of propaganda and a weapon of war.
These other locations. What it could do is force U.S. forces to adapt to defenses against small, agile threats that are easily able to bypass radar systems. Now, so far, there's been no independent confirmation of casualties or any major damage that was widely reported yet, but some analysts note that the base appeared partially evacuated or secured in advance when this thing was circling overhead. Now, the obvious concern that a lot of people have as a result of seeing this thing published everywhere is the fact that, does this mean that, you know, we could potentially see a lot more of these coming in the future? I mean, it's possible, but I hope not. Well, it's official.
I mean, it's almost a guaranteed thing. I mean, if there is any sort of escalation, if it gets any worse, I mean, these are cheap options, and Iran needs cheap options. So FPV drones are going to be the thing, and they can probably get them from China and Russia. They don't even need domestic production of them, right? Because Russia has obviously an insane production level. I'm sure China has a large production level as well. And Iran, as long as they're still able to ship oil out, as long as they're still able to get enough money, they can keep the war going for a long time. Actually, yes, that's right. A lot of actually tonight. Now, I did notice that people wanted to talk about this a little bit. Bodie McBoatface. Kagan said BB is still alive. This is another one of those things where I don't really get it, right? Because there was kind of like the AI footage going around of him being like dead or taken out of like rubble, which was, I'm pretty sure, AI, and then people showing the AI videos of BB. I don't really think it matters much one way or the other, whether he's alive or dead. I know some people just absolutely hate him, right? So if BB is dead, like, you know, hell gets another demon or something like that. But who knows? Who knows if he's alive, if he's dead, and does it change anything? Maybe from Israel's perspective, right? Because BB is a bit of a war hawk. BB's always been a hardline war hawk. So it is possible that if BB was actually removed, that actually might be the fastest way to get the war to end, is if you get somebody in who's not quite as war hawkish. But then if you get somebody who comes after BB, do you have to retaliate for your leader's death? Probably.
The state of Israel
does that
would see
mean
him as a martyr?
Well, right, of course. So that actually, I mean, it's like, do they escalate in terms of violence? You killed our prime minister, so
They would
we
100%.
well, so we use nuclear options. Like, does that escalate it even further? Like, you know, how does that go? Who knows?
I don't think it really matters one way or another if he is still alive or not. We'll find out soon enough in the next couple of days. And from what I gather, he wasn't even in the country. He was in Germany as of like a day or two ago, and was supposed to be there for the foreseeable future, from what I gathered. But, you know, I'm not privy to his itinerary, so he could have went back.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the Mossad building, right? That got hit with a bunch of rocket fire, like 7, 8, 9 rockets, something like that. A whole side of the building was chewed up. So, I mean, is it possible that he got hit in a rocket strike? It's possible, but it seems unlikely. If he was anywhere where, I mean, a rocket could have hit, it seems like he would have been in some sort of like protected structure, right? Surely. I mean, it would seem, because they know where these rocket attacks are coming from. They have like, what, 8 minutes of flight time? Even their more expensive missiles, they know exactly where the missiles are, you know, when and where they're going to be in, you know, generalities. So if he was ever in danger, wouldn't he just be underground? Like, it doesn't make sense that he would just be in a place that could be hit, you know? And yeah, BB was also in Germany right after the initial phase of the war. So again, it just seems strange to me that if he is dead, then the Israeli government would use it as propaganda. And if he's not dead, then, you know, it's just business as usual, and people are getting really distracted with a couple of AI videos being put out by the Israeli government, right? And maybe they're just trolling you. Maybe they're just trolling you at this point. But speaking of trolling, who I think has to be trolling you at this point, we're gonna get into gun news, okay? Sorry if you don't like that here, but this is a gun channel 20% of the time. Another Stealth Additive Works Shiv has arrived, and after being shot a little bit, has cracked. So here we have another Shiv, and you can see the cracks have started to promulgate and move throughout the 3D printed, I believe this one's Inconel or titanium, not really sure, but they are not holding up very well. So I picked up my Saw Shiv about 2 weeks ago and just put 150 rounds through my Glock 19 Gen 3. It sounded decent for its size and cycled reliably after 50 rounds. However, after 100 rounds, I noticed a small crack appeared at the base, and it seemed to get longer after a few more. It's pretty small given Saw's QC issues I've heard about, I'm worried about continuing to shoot it. I've never seen this on my other two cans, both OCL. Anyone have this happen? Not sure if I'm overreacting. And then he gives out his serial number there. Now, let me look this up real fast because I am curious. Oh, shoot. Okay, perfect. Still working. Because I wonder how much these shivs are going for right now. And to be clear, this was not a Blem can. This was a normal can that turned into a Blem very quickly. So, okay, the shivs are actually not terribly priced. So the shiv is a super ultra lightweight can, so that the titanium versions, these ones here, are only 2.5 ounces. So it's basically a pistol can with no booster. That's basically what it's designed for, I take it. However, putting it on a 9mm, a Browning tilt action barrel, you have a lot more movement on the barrel itself versus some fixed barrel setup like a PCC, an AR9, or what have you. It's going to have a little bit more violent movement on something like a Glock, even though it's, super lightweight, so should still reliably cycle at only 2.5 ounces without a booster or anything else like that. Cracking, however, like that is not cool, and I would, you can see that crack like going down over the side. I would not continue to shoot that because that is going to blow up and turn the front half of that can into a projectile. Yeah, very true. I love they customized this picture for the shiv. New meme unlocked. He did also shoot it though. That's true. And that's the picture we saw earlier of another shiv cracking in basically the same way. Here's another image of a shiv, which you can see the crack starting around the base of the mount. And while these are not super expensive, right? They're under 600, but still 600 for 2.5 ounces of titanium. I don't know. And yeah, you can see on this one here, just found this on mine, 300 to 400 rounds through it now. Glad I double checked it. Pretty bummed. Yeah, this is another one, another shiv going down. Tragic. At this point, they probably should do a recall, which is nearly unheard of in this industry these days. If they allow this many of these defective suppressors to keep being discovered, knowing that a notable numbers of them are defective, it seems like it's only a matter of time before someone doesn't notice, eventually explodes, and or someone is injured or even killed. Slam dunk lawsuit, but I guess perhaps they simply can't afford the impact of a recall and would rather just chance it that it doesn't happen than go broke from a recall alone. Let me see. So this is Jay. This is Silencer, Pew Science Man, of course. Dylan recalled their 50 silencers due to an issue recently. Yeah, but they're 50 cal silencers. How many did they recall? Like 25? Like 30? FYI, if anyone reading has one, you are encouraged to contact Dylan immediately. I think they contacted all owners, but it's probably worth just saying this to help people out. Glad I want 3 GDI. I want 3 sock hands. Guess I'm getting a Rody 6, Pluto 9, and Mob or Milkman instead. Milkman, you say? You should, yeah, this is a good post. You should 100% not continue to shoot this, unfortunately. That is only going to get worse. You absolutely should contact them. It does seem that they have no effing QC. They should be avoided at this point completely. First, they sent out straight out of the box blems that were bad. They were broken parts. Then they changed the design on their Tisha with, I like how it auto-corrected to Visa, without telling anyone. Now multiple shivs have cracked. I mean, how much more blatantly obvious can they have non-existent QC does it get? GD. Yeah. Not a good look. Not a good look. The Yankee Hill Machine R9 is undefeated, high quality suppressor compared to the Stealth Additive Works Shiv. So good on them for blowing out at least so far confirmed, I think 4 shivs. At least 4 shivs have this exact same issue. And it's really tragic. It's really tragic. Now, what if there was a video that was sent to me today from Silencer Analytics basically defending Tisha and saying that they have like done the best job ever, literally the bestest or something like that. We should probably check that out, I think. So from Silencer Analytics, this was posted 2 days ago by Rob Orgel. Rob Orgel, yeah. Now, Rob Orgel, I've never talked to the man personally, but he did actually upload a couple videos to Gun.Deals. They were fine videos, no problems there. But he is kind of a, how do I say this? A silencer nerd without the real silencer data. Like, he's very bare bones in what he talks about. It's basically like an overview of the specs sheet, and then he gives you a very subjective, like, how this sounds, how's the back pressure, where at least Jay, even if the numbers don't mean anything, even if we don't know how he comes up with the numbers, at least does have, you know, numbers attached to things and a more scientific way of comparison. Whereas this is very much, oh, I don't know, I like it. It sounds okay. You know, there's less back pressure. Yeah, totally. Lost Arrow says he's a vibes-based suppressor nerd. Yes, vibes-based.
Would you say that he is the Such of the suppressor world?
I don't know if I would say that, because again, it's hard for me to say, because a lot of the silencers, they're all kind of the same thing. You know, I know people like to battle it out and be really nerdy about, well, actually my suppressor has a 29.4 rating on Pew Science and yours has a 32.6, so yours is umpteen times better. I don't know if it really matters all that much. Like, can the thing not break? Can it not weigh 1,000,000 pounds? And can it not have an insane flash signature? Like, that's really what we're concerned about. There's a lot of other things that come into suppressors than just like the raw suppressor data. You know, it's like mounting system, size, weight, flash signature, all that sort of fun stuff.
Hey everybody, Rob Orgel, your favorite silencer nut job. In this video, I wanted to talk about the Tisha issue. So many of
Call that a tissue. Also, I don't know anybody else who calls it a Tisha. Does anyone in the chat call it a Tisha? Tisha. The Tisha issue. The tissue. We're calling this the tissue. Okay?
you know that stealth additive works when they first.
Yeah, Sean, nobody cleans cans. Not a single person I know cleans cans.
Stealth additive works when they first released their Tishas had just a little problem. Now, I went out to a whole bunch of my clients. Those of you who don't know, I'm a firearms instructor. I teach classes for a living, and I have a lot of clients that I work with regularly who also know me as the silencer guy. I know you all know me as the silencer guy, and sometimes the instructor, they know me the other way around. So reaching out to them and saying, hey guys, we creep forward, we leap forward. We just leaped forward, and it's a good idea for you to check out these Tisha 5.56, 9, and 30.
I don't think the Tisha is a leap forward. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, this new can, it's literally the greatest thing ever. It's so much better in every measurable way. And then when you measure it, it's like, well, actually, it's pretty close to what came before. And also, like, the Tishas are like impressive cans for their size, but they're still like 18-ounce, you know, Inconel bricks on the end of your gun. So yeah, they're like short and fat, and they sound like pretty good, and they have pretty decent back pressure, all that sort of stuff. But I don't really believe the J numbers at all, you know? I don't think they're particularly relevant. People chasing those things, it's whatever, you do you, boo. But again, even if you take them that they are actually the greatest sounding can of all time, despite having almost no internal volume because they're just wizards and airbenders that are creating these things, maybe, right? But it's going to be an iterative improvement. It's going to be fine. It's going to be nice. But they're very expensive. They break, and they sold knowingly defective cans.
Caliber suppressors, because they are a major leap forward in what we know in the suppressor world. So a lot of my clients went out and got these Tisha suppressors from Eric at East Valley Tactical because he got a whole big batch of them. Now, here's what happened shortly after. There was a little bit of a cracking issue right here along the seam of the suppressor, and that's where they're bleeding off from the blast baffle area some of those extra gases, which makes this titanium can incredibly durable. However, that little bit of cracking was noticeable. So people said,
does it though? Like, that's a claim that letting out gases, having ports in your suppressor makes it more durable. But does it? Like, because, you know, you could argue that it cools down faster and it retains less heat, but you're also removing material.
Yeah, when does more hold equal more sturdy?
Well, but titanium does have a heat problem, though. So I think, I mean, are you making the argument that because the temperature remains lower, that it loses less strength because of that? So even though you're removing material, you're gaining more at a higher round count? Maybe, you know, because you could argue that it has a slight benefit, a trade-off there, I guess. retains less overall pressure.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
cracks
yeah, but you're
definitely
also
help.
well, the cracks actually reduce back pressure by an additional 20%. It's called a blow-off valve. But I don't really like the framing there either. Some of those cans were legitimately like two pieces. Like they had not a crack, like a fissure, like a canyon in them. Some of them had little like micro cracks, but some of them were basically in two pieces with almost no connective tissue at all. So I don't really know if that counts as minor cracks or, cosmetic damage.
But hang on, what's going on here? And Eric quickly said, I don't like this. What's the deal? And they said, oh, shoot, we just realized that. So here's what we're going to do. These ones you need to send back because we don't want them going out. We think that they need to be redone. These ones you can sell as blems. And Eric said, before I sell these as blems, I want to make sure that they're durable. So Stealth Additive Works put them on a machine gun and ran mag after mag to prove that it was no issue. It was just a cosmetic blem. After that, Eric sold a whole bunch of them as blems with like $300 off, which made them very, very cost effective.
Now, that's not really true either. These are $1,200 cans. So even at $900, they're still certainly not cheap. They're in a premium price category. Most of the premium cans are between $900 and $1,200. Surefires are a little bit above that. The RC4s are what, $1,400, $1,500, something like that. But around that $900 to $1,200 is kind of like a premium. That's where almost all the top level cans are, or at least like the flagship cans are somewhere in that model. Now, let me back up a little bit because I want to get his statement in full here about the durability level of the cans, and then I'll show you what he claims were tested on a belt fed.
So Stealth Additive Works put them on a machine gun and ran mag after mag to prove that it was no issue. It was just a cosmetic blem. After that, Eric sold a whole bunch of them as blems with like $300 off, which made them very, very cost effective. And then the ones that did get sent back, which is a bunch of my clients, they not only got a brand new can, but they also got, in many cases, an additional can. They said, hey, sorry for the inconvenience.
Right. So the ones that were allegedly tested on a belt fed for durability, like this made it to a customer, right? So again, is this a speed hole? Is this weight reduction cuts? Like, is blow off valves? What are we looking at here? I don't know how this makes it past QC. And again, according to the guy who runs SAW, there's somewhere between 2 and 5 employees. So figuring out which one of them let a can like this through isn't very difficult, And yeah, that's not a crack. That's not a micro crack. That's bad. And that's out of the box blem after being tested on a belt fed for durability. That's a grenade there, sir. That's a grenade there, sir. That's an axe wound. Yeah. Can is now woman. That is an axe wound.
Convenience, here's an extra insert silencer here. There's a few different, based on what they had at the time available at the shop, they were giving out bonus suppressors. So when people say, oh, what's the drama with the Stealth Additive Works? Guys, they went above and beyond to set that straight, to take care of a lot of people. Now, the next question.
Well, even if I grant that position, that they did more than a lot of companies would when it came to making it right to people who received, again, something that looked like this. If you received this after giving them $900, like, you have a right to be livid. You have a right to be upset because they essentially stole money from you. They promised you a product that they did not give you, right? Now giving them an extra free can of one of the cheaper varieties, I believe there were their very inexpensive cans that they, passed off, like, please don't be upset with us. I get that. That's a good move. You should own up to it. You should make it up. You should go above and beyond to your customers. But again, keep in mind, they're still shipping cracked cans today. There's at least 4 of these shivs that are floating around that are cracked and getting worse and are eventually going to detonate. So it's like, it's nice that you're giving away free cans to people after making them go through this whole ordeal, but especially if they waited like 12 weeks on a back order or something, right? But it's still not cool that it happened in the first place. So I don't care how much emphasis you put on the back end customer service, even though they're still shipping out bad cans. To me, I think it's preferable just to ship the thing that you promised your customer in the time frame you promised it. I think that is better for everybody rather than just disappointment after disappointment. Especially imagine if you're the guy who bought the Blem can, it shows up looking like this. You get a shiv, plus the new can as a makeup, and then your shiv cracks like 2 weeks later. You're like, at some point, I'm just done. I don't care about your customer service. I don't care about your warranty. At some point, I'm just done receiving bad products. I'm gonna take my money and go somewhere else. All right, I'm just done. I'm just done with you.
With these suppressors being so awesome, and you already know I'm a nut for these suppressors. They're titanium, they're light, they're quiet, they're low back pressure, they're all the things that I love. And their 5.56 will also do 6mm arc, Creedmoor, etc. The next question is, just how durable are they? So I'm talking with Stealth Additive Works about making a belt-fed video and just pushing one of these suppressors to the end of its abilities. Let me know in the comments section if you'd be interested in a meltdown or an abusive video to find out what these all titanium super lightweight Tishas can actually handle.
So that's kind of it for the video. I would actually be curious to see what this one would handle. Let's put that, because allegedly Saw said that they put all these on a belt fed to test them before shipping them to make sure they were durable. Thanks, I guess. I mean, a part of me is like, maybe the crack was really small, and then they put it on a belt fed, heated it up with like, I don't know, 50 to 100 rounds, and they're like, oh, it's good. They put it in, as soon as it cools down, the metal is, expanding and contracting, and then the crack propagates, basically halfway around the can. And then they're like, oh, well, it went through the belt fed, so it's fine, so ship it. When it is just at some point, it's through thermal cycling, at some point, it is just going to blow up. That's going to detonate. Yeah, test it to the limit via unboxing. The world's first unboxing durability test. That's very, very novel technology going on over at Stealth Additive Works. Yeah, I agree. Drake says that was negligent no matter how you slice it. I agree. Free side of broccoli when your steak is recooked. Yeah, that's also a good point. What about the time too? What about the delay? Because especially like, let's say you wait like 8 weeks, 12 weeks on a back order. You gave them money. They ship it to you. It's cracked. You got to ship it back. Then eventually they ship you a new can. Like, it's so much time wasted too. That's months and months when you could have just used that money towards anything else, right? So I don't know. You don't have to give these companies slack. And that's the thing. That's what I dislike about all these people in the industry, is that they're so beholden to them. They have to give them so much leeway. Like, I really enjoy what I do here because my audience is so supportive of what I do. I don't have to talk to a single human in the gun industry ever about anything for any reason. Like, ever. I don't have any sponsors. I don't have anybody that I talk to. I don't have any friends, okay? I have a couple of YouTuber friends that I enjoy spending time with, of course. But as far as like industry people go, I don't have to talk to a single person in my job. And it's fantastic. I couldn't imagine being the guy who's, gets all the free product from people and is like, oh, well, I had this issue. I got to go talk to them first. And I got to make sure I'm not too mean here. And I got to make sure that I toe the line over here when I'm talking. Like, it's so gay. It's so lame. I can just stand on the outside, point and laugh at everybody else who's trying to like step on eggshells. I can be the bull in the china shop where everybody else is beholden for their next paycheck or for the next product, right? Yeah. Yes, no friend. Bro, it's just like us. True. I'm just like you. Carver, we know John is owned by Big Toe Money. Big Toe Money, dude. Okay, yeah, people are asking about talking about the 20 mil rounds from earlier. Self-destruct. It's cool tech. Cool tech. All right, well, we're going to get to you guys' support real fast, and then we're going to talk about the new first images of the jump scare of the new SP7 and PCC7 coming to the USA. Finally, HK doing something cool for the US consumer. And by cool, I mean charging you a lot of money for a neutered version of a German product. Anyways, Jury Seller becomes a YouTube channel member. Thank you very much, Jury. Much appreciated. Hope you're having a good night out there, sir. Graham Bergdorf for 2 says, so just a little late and gay. We were like 10 minutes late, which is fine. You know, I was out all day. I was hanging out with my my oldest 2 kids, going shopping, getting a few things, hanging out at Shields. Thank you, Graham Bergdorf. Appreciate it. Just some Space Cowboy for $20.
Yeah. Damn.
For $20 says, good evening, gents. Last stream for a long time. If you know, you know. Richard NRA, and let's get a ASN. What's the ASN?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't know what you mean by an ASN. I do have a new clip for you, though. Let me see if I can find it real fast. Okay, it's uploading right now. But yeah, man, if you are heading over into the sandbox or into any sort of deployment, we can pray for you, Space Cowboy. I appreciate it. I have your gun sitting behind me. I'm going to go shoot it on Thursday, I think. So stay safe out there, man. I appreciate the 20. Godspeed. And here you go. Here's a new clip for you.
We got a number 2 coming off my ears, and my cabinet's about to get brown. Get brown on poop on the floor right now. Just shout about King Davy.
Thank you. Thank you, Space Cowboy. Appreciate you, sir. Stay safe out there. CM Scar for 2 says, F, I'm late and gay today. Very late. 30 minutes? Who would do that? Thank you, CM Scar. Jury Seller for 2 says, timed fuses. They self-detonate. Okay, good to know. Good to know the 20 mils do not just land somewhere in the desert. Chan the Man for 2 says, the Azerbaijan invasion angle remains interesting. That's right. We, for whatever reason, we need to invade Azerbaijan right now. That would be great. Just for the memes. Zanico for 2 says, have you seen my 100-yard grenade launcher hit video? Yes, I did watch that. I watched that when you uploaded it. A week ago or something. Thank you, Zanico. Appreciate it. Hope you're having a good night. Polly B for 5 says, yeah, either additive titanium is a scam or that's Chinesium. I don't know. I'm not a printer. Again, allegedly, Stealth Additive Works has their own printers in-house that they spent a lot of money, somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million to get set up. So either they don't know how to run it, the units are defective, their QC is terrible. Like, I'm not sure what they're doing to make it pull up that bad. Thank you, Polly B. Amorite Boy for 2 says, in late and gay, can't catch live tonight. Well, have a good night, Amorite Boy. Appreciate you. Have a good day, sir. Central Sands Defense for 2 says, cram ammo self-destructs after a set time period. Gotcha. How does it self-destruct, though? Because doesn't that still leave a rain of shrapnel places? Like, it is a 20 millimeter shell, after all. So it's like, what? 1,000 grains? 1,500 grains? And even if it detonates, it's still... like, it's a bunch of shrapnel. It's like the weight of a grenade going off, right? The mass has got to go somewhere. Thank you, Central Sands Defense. Sheep Herder for 5 says, I picked up some Plus P Plus the other day on a good deal, but after the purchase, I realized they are basically no pistols that run it. Thoughts on my regardation? So Plus P Plus is essentially major power factor ammo. If you shoot competition, it's probably sitting somewhere between like 165 and 175 power factor, which is a lot. That is very rough to deal with, and most guns are not going to like it all that much. So, I mean, if you're not shooting a lot of it, I'm actually curious what guns would actually be good for plus power factor. Probably Shadows, because the Shadows are, I mean, there's competition versions of the Shadows that are designed as open major guns, right? Or CZ75 open guns, right? So if you have a CZ75 based gun, probably be okay in it. Although the Shadows have really short throats, so I don't know how they're going to work with the bullets, depending on how far out they're seated. So it's an interesting case there, and I'm fortunate enough to not shoot Plus P Plus, but yeah. Good luck out there, Sheeperd. Appreciate it. Modern Frontier Project for 2 says RT7 has been reliable. Well, then you're the only person in the world that has a reliable T7. At least as far as I'm aware, because that stuff allegedly doesn't run at all. Over on Ko-Fi, Josh Howard says, Shin, I just spring break lit AF this year. That's right, dude. Spring break to all my homies out there. Hope you're having a good time. Having a little bit of a relaxation for all my college cells out there. And Andrew Ann over on Ko-Fi says, since I'm getting that rugged razor I mentioned a couple streams ago, should I just buy a rugged muzzle device or for everything or get hub adapters? I'm not super familiar with the rugged muzzle devices, but it depends how economical you want to be, because you can get Plan B muzzle devices for really cheap. So if you factor in the cost of like one Plan B hub and then a bunch of Plan B devices, you can probably save some money that way. And Plan B is just fine. You know, it's nothing special, but it's just fine as a suppressor mounting system. So you can go that way to be a little bit more economical. Other than that, dude, totally up to you. Lambo Chop says rugged MDs are gay. So Rex says not a fan. Rugged have issues with baffle strikes. All right. Well, if that's the case, then yeah, don't. I would go with any other muzzle device, apparently. All right. Speaking of things that are gay, though, HK finally delivering on what Americans have been asking for 20 years. But since HK hates you, they have no interest in appeasing you. Well, it took quite a while between first rumors and a somewhat confirmation by HK management and the emergence of the first public pictures, but here it is. The picture is from the abbreviated version of the BKA assessment letter that was published 3 days ago, September 19, 2025. The gun above is considered a short gun and is a restricted firearm in Germany due to its centerfire caliber, smaller than 6.3. HK knows that, so my assumption would be that this is the US version intended for export, like the MR556 is the US version of the MR223. The same AL also describes and shows a PCC-7, which is considered a long gun. Under German law, the shortest usable length is greater than 60 centimeters, barrel bolt in closed position greater than 30 centimeters. They extend the barrel a bit, 240 millimeters instead of 180, and designed a fixed stock that looks like the telescoping stock in its extended position, which results in a total length of 69.8 centimeters, which of course is the 60 would be the minimum. This is not a guarantee of anything that this thing will be available anytime soon. See the MR95 and the MR223A4, A5, and A6 assessment letters, which are from May of 2021, and the guns still aren't available yet. But it shows HK's commitment to make it happen at some point, which is interesting, right? That it's not necessarily that they don't want to give you something, but you also have to think in not only do we have ATF import restrictions, right? That is not always fun. That can be very difficult for companies to work around and can take years to actually get your approval or to adjust and, get the manufacturing of everything down to where it can be approved. That can take years. But then you also have to take into account German export regulations, which is going to make everything a bit more obnoxious. So you kind of have to get something that your own government will allow you to export, and then the American government will allow you to import. So it's kind of threading the needle in a way. Yeah, HK SP7, and kind of like the G36 that they brought to the market. It's in 22 long rifle. Congratulations. It's like, okay, all right. This is not a guarantee that this thing will be available anytime soon. As it says, you can see it all here. The way a keen observer will note, the Magpul M-Lock rail covers indicating the presumably same or similar new M-Lock interface. The MP7 was shown at Enforce TAC. And you can see, here are the images. Let me see if I can blow them up a little bit. They're not particularly detailed. They're not particularly pretty to look at. But this is a fixed stock. So it's a fixed stock meant to look like a folding stock. And now I wonder, are these going to be in 4.6 or are they going to be in 5.7? Right? Because 4.6 is like what it's designed around. It's the cool caliber, even though they both suck, right? 4.6 and 5.7 both suck. I don't know of anyone who actually likes the caliber's terminal performance, right? What everybody likes about it is that it's relatively low recoil, that it has a huge magazine capacity, right? And it's, it has the looks. If this wasn't in Half-Life 2, would anyone care about the MP7 or in this case the SP7? Not really sure, right? Not really sure. Will it be convertible? Almost assuredly, people listen. If HK brings this to the market, you're going to have people making end plates with adapters for all the different stocks that are out there. Okay. It's going to happen. If HK actually brings this to market, it's going to be somewhere between, if I had to guess, $4,000 and $6,000, somewhere in that range, depending on which one you get. And people will absolutely be making FRTs for it day one. People will have end plates and stock adapters. Anything you could imagine, they will be making for it. There is going to be a demand for it. Like you're going to see, I don't know, like Desk Pop or Juicy Media, and they're going to have a video up basically day one of this thing with an FRT, and people are going to lose their minds over it. Right. My money is on 4,500. Very possible. And again, if PSA could just figure it out, okay? Their Abomination Rock 57, or whatever they're called, the X57 or whatever they're calling it. If they could just make that functional, like they could create a really good spot in the market for them if they could just make a functional version. I think their X9 had a huge amount of possibility, a huge amount of potential as a platform, and then they decided to not pursue it, which is a huge L, right? A huge mistake. Now, this is the short version of it. So this is not the PC. There's the PCC7 and the SP7. This is the SP7, which just has a 1913 adapter on the back. If I was going to get one, it would probably... Actually, I don't know. I don't know which one I would get because I would probably want to SBR it either way. But how effective is 5.7 out of that short of a barrel or 4.6 out of that short of a barrel, right? Because maybe you want the longer barrel for it because I'm not particularly familiar with the round itself. I know. The X9 was never real, just a fever dream. But listen, all I need is the chassis. That's basically what it is, right? I mean, throw your stupid slide, your blowback 9 into a grip fed, the magazine in the grip, fed 9mm blowback, make it really small like a TP9 and just make it like hold 0. That's all it has to do is hold 0 and we'll be happy. And even if it's like $1,500, right? The TP9 is double that and it's not very good. Give me something that actually works for $1,500 and PSA could make big margins and actually, do something that people want. Imoka says this, but 10mm using G20 mags and delayed roller blowback. That's retarded. All pistol calibers are ineffective and worthless. Okay, so making it more recoil and using Glock mags, like you're just just grab an AR9 at that point. Just grab an AR9 or literally anything else in that caliber. I mean, you go with the Strybog for that if you wanted to. But all pistol calibers are gay, therefore whatever gives you the most magazine capacity, which is 9mm or 5.7, is the way to go. And even 5.7 is like, none of them are particularly impressive. Not a single one. Best we can do is a Flux ripoff. I mean, listen, I haven't tried it yet, but the Taurus chassis system for like $699 for their GX4 or whatever, it's funny, but that might be one of the better ones on the market that you can actually buy. We get around 2,000 FPS with our T7 and S&B range 4.6, but is like what is 2,000 FPS with what is a 4.6 projectile, like 28 grains, 32 grains? They're tiny. So what does 2,000 FPS and that actually mean in terms of terminal effects? Oh, it does? Okay. Yeah. I mean, they're under $1,000 too. They're like $699, $799. Yeah. All right. Well, how about before we wrap up here with gun news, we have one little bad take here. Little bad take from a show I've never heard of. I got sent this to me. It's a little podcast having a take about red dots on pistols and effective distances for actually shooting. And surprisingly, they're going off about how you don't need a red dot on your pistol because you'll never be shooting beyond 25 yards, or you won't be able to hit your target beyond 25 yards or something like that, which is really concerning that your standards as an individual are that low. But then when you're passing that information off to your audience, also a bit problematic. Again, I don't know who these people are. I don't watch, I don't listen to their show. I just had the clip sent to me for us to enjoy. Okay.
25 yards with a pistol, like, you know, are you defending yourself with 25 yards with a pistol? Like, okay, you're going to shoot your carry gun and you think you're going to get bullseyes at that thing? No, right?
Well, why not? And also, we have seen self-defense shootings beyond 25 yards. Very famously, the Dickens drill initially shot at 40 yards and then continued to shoot and move closer and closer. But there are absolutely times where you will be taking a more precise shot. Now, whether that's a 25-yard shot, whether that's a 40-yard shot, or whether that's a shot that's much closer but much more difficult, right? Because you could construct a scenario in which you're only 10 yards away, but you have very low visibility, or there might be something in the foreground or background that you can't hit. And so you have a much lower probability shot only at 10 yards, but it's as difficult as an open target as 25, right? We all get that. Target size, distance, opportunity, all that sort of fun stuff. But here's the thing. The more you shoot with a handgun, usually the better you get, okay? General rule of thumb, I know that's not shocking to anyone, but if you do practice, if you do carry, if you figure it's your duty to be proficient so that you're not a danger to yourself or others in some sort of hypothetical self-defense scenario, then you should absolutely be shooting at 25 yards and beyond. And that includes with whatever it is that you're carrying. Now, I don't like to carry small guns. I personally like my carry gun to be very analogous to what I practice with. So I carry right now, it's either a full-size Glock 17 or one of my other things. In fact, the 17 that I've been carrying is a Roland Special Ed. You know, it's got a break on the front. It's got a red dot. It's got a TLR1. And yes, I am incredibly confident with that out to 40, 50 plus yards, depending on target size and opportunity, right? And now that's not to say that when I carried smaller guns like an MC9 or something like that, I was also very confident with that. And I shot them all the time to make sure that I could do whatever it was that I needed to do in this hypothetical. But instead of like caveating, oh, well, you're never going to need a red dot at 25 yards because you're never going to shoot at 25. Oh, well, you're never going to need this, right? They keep caveating down and down and down until basically in their hypothetical, you're just point shooting, you know, at like 3 yards, right? They're going to eventually get down to the FUD lore. 3 rounds, 3 yards, 3 seconds, or something like that. That's according to the FBI, that's 95% of gunfights. But yeah, but you don't need to train at 3 yards. Nobody needs to train at 3 yards. We get it. You can do that instinctively. Most of us can anyways, with a mediocre index, okay? But you don't train for the lowest common denominator. You don't train for the easiest day ever. You would train and practice for something that is much more difficult, right? If we make, you know, let's just say it's a 10-yard shot and it's, you know, pretty open, not perfectly open, but pretty open. But I'm used to shooting at really small targets at 25, 30, 35 yards away. Well, guess what? That 10-yard shot's going to be a cakewalk, okay? Right? So we train for something that's a lot harder so that when we're actually doing the thing, it's much easier. Nobody, like, you want to have that skill headroom. And what I mean by that is if your skill level is like, I'm only comfortable shooting a handgun inside of 10 yards, which is really pathetic, honestly, right? That means that if you're ever asked to do a 10-yard shot, like, that's it. That's your cap. However, if you're really comfortable shooting inside of 25, 30, 35 yards at speed, at like a practical shooting pace, right, that we would do in like a match, if you're very comfortable doing that, then basically anything you're asked to do inside of 10 yards is a cakewalk. You don't even need to think about it, right? It's instinctual, okay? So you should be training for a high level. You should increase your skill ceiling, not just hope that magically you'll reach that someday, or, well, there's a 99% chance that I'll never need to shoot beyond 10 yards, right? That seems like stupid. That seems dumb. Yeah, you'd never want to be ready to do more than the bare minimum, of course. It's like, yeah, if it's like, listen, okay, guys, according to the FBI, we only need to train at 5 yards. So I only ever train at 5 yards. Like, well, you're setting yourself up for disaster, for horrifying. You know, it's like saying, well, then the nationwide average of a bench press is 110 pounds. Therefore, I only train at 110 pounds and then I'm done. It's like, well, no, that's not a good fitness standard. In fact, that's a horrible fitness standard basing off like the averages or the most likely, that's terrible. Okay. That's not our fitness standard. It's like, we don't treat anything else like that. But for some reason, people like to cope with handguns because they know that their skill level is really low, right? That's really what it boils down to, is their skill level is really low and they're kind of offended that people are better than them, right? They have this inferiority complex.
25 yards with a pistol, like.
My max bench press, which was like a year ago, was like 260. I'm not a good bench presser, not at all. Terrible bench press. If you want to know my numbers, it's like 340 squat, 260 bench, and 450 deadlift. Those are my numbers.
Are you defending yourself with 25 yards with a pistol? Like, okay, you're going to shoot your carry gun and you think you're going to get bullseyes at that thing? No.
We should have that capability, though. We should have that capability for sure.
Right? I mean, frankly, what you're going to want to do.
3 plates is the goal for bench. So it's literally just 3, 4, 5. So the goal to get to in my workouts is 3, 4, 5, right? So 315 bench, 405 squat, 495 or 500 in deadlift, which I'm, relatively close to all of those.
If hope you never
5'3", get it right. Deadlift is very easy when you're 5'3". This is true. I have about 6 inches range of motion.
Anybody listening, I hope you never have to do this, right? Never ever. But God forbid you have to draw your gun to defend yourself. You're going to pull that gun. You're going to slap that trigger. You're going to be looking straight at the target, and you're just going to be shooting that thing until the threat is neutralized, right? Yeah. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're trained to do. And it's like, okay, well, did you care if it was one MO? Like, that MOA is not going to mean anything. If you're watching this.
Sorry, what's the name of the show again? The Brown Duke? The Brown Book? The Brown Buck Gun Show? Huh. That's inappropriately named. Sorry, say again?
Sounds like a load of crap to me.
Yeah, I mean, you should just train yourself to a much higher standard than what, you think. Whatever you think you're going to be drawn into, you should probably train to a much higher standard than that, right? You should just, I don't even know if standards is the right way, but you should just train to be really good, right? Brownville. That's true. You're never going to get into BFM with the Su-57. Why bother training with the gun? Yeah, dude. Who cares if your dot's like 1 MOA or 6 MOA or your gun's 1 MOA? Like, you're never going to be shooting at 25 yards anyways. It's like, speak for yourself, brother. Speak for yourself, okay? No, yeah, I just don't think that's the way forward. I just don't think that's a good idea. I think that's a recipe for disaster. Underdeveloped hard skills, as Mr. Pranka would say. Underdeveloped hard skills. You should just be really good. Just try and be good for once. How about that? How about you don't be a disappointment to your friends and family? How about that?
Challenge impossible.
Well, yeah, come on. Tarke over on Ko-Fi drops 10, says nothing. But thank you. Appreciate that, Tarke. Hope you're doing well out there. Godspeed. Bushmaster for 5 on Rumble says those gunfight statistics of the 3 rounds, 3 yards, 3 seconds are skewed because they include police shootings on traffic stops. I'm sure they're horribly outdated too. Yeah, getting actual real hard data on like gunfights or times when a gun is used, which are 2 very different things. I don't know if you can trust any of those numbers for any reason. So I just, again, whatever you think, like, oh, well, most gunfights happen inside of 10 yards. Therefore, that's all I'm going to train. It's like, you're setting yourself up for disaster. You're setting yourself up for failure, right? It's like, with anything, like if you're going to like a driving school or some sort of performance driving class or track day or something like that. And you're like, well, I only drive 70 miles an hour on the freeway. So that's what I'm going to do on the track. It's like, yeah, okay, fine, but you're going to be very safe, I'm sure. Julio Valoria for 5 says Trump will flee to Israel to run away from the Epstein files and build the third temple and revive Satan Yahoo. Fallen is Babylon. Yes, I took my meds today. Based. based schizo pose from Valoria. Also, it's funny that there's a non-0% chance of all of that happening. Thank you, Julia. Hope you're having a good day. Honestly, stop taking your meds. You're way more fun when you're off your meds. Tyler for 10 says, be a man, appendix carry a deagle with an EXPS3 and pray to IWI and Big Yahoo that it doesn't stovepipe after the first shot. Well, that's the thing, Sonny. The reason why I carry a deagle is I only need the first shot. Ha. That would be pretty baller. I need somebody to make a holster for a deagle with a EXPS3. It's like literally just like a huge bucket on it for the gun and
Battle Gnome
optic.
Solutions has one, I think.
Oh, actually, let me look that up. Say Battle Gnome Solutions?
Yeah.
No. Because it's got to look hilarious. Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate the 10. Very generous of you. Dr. Fuzzy, member for 8 months, says, oh, yeah, you could bench 400? What's your 4-mile ruck time, and what's your fastest 5K run time? Well, when I was in cross country in high school, my fastest, and when I ran marathons when I was 18, 19 years old, my fastest 5K, 16, 17? Somewhere in that range. Like I was pretty good. I was pretty good back in the day. Pretty good.
6, 7?
Well, 16, 17. But yeah, it's pretty good. 4-mile ruck time. I don't like ruck for distance. I mean, I'm sure that's a good skill to have, but I mean, I like my back being uncompressed. So, you know, if that's something you guys work on, cool. Thank you, Dr. Fuzzy. Hope you're doing well out there. Lightsport for 2 says buck breaking gun show. That's not what he said, just because it sounds like it. Let me see. Battle Gnome. Do you mean Polinar Tactical?
Yeah, they partnered with Battle Gnome Solutions to.
Oh, they do have it. The optics cut on a freaking deagle is hilarious.
Yeah.
So technically, this would work. Yes, this would satisfy the conditionals of a EXPS3 and a deagle stuffed in your pants or stuffed somewhere, I guess. Technically, that would work.
For an MP5K as well.
Of course. Thank you, Lightsport. Tarke for 5 says, funnily enough, I shoot my basic Glock 26 better and faster than my 19 Koa. Slow fire red dot wins, presenting from low ready, the G26 wins. I mean, maybe. I mean, the G26 shoots fine. Like the difference between the 34, the 17, the 19, and the 26 are all pretty minimal. Like they're kind of like gradients, you know. It's like a little bit of a spectrum that we're all on, right? Of one thing or another. And I mean, like I shot the 26 a lot. I carried the 26 a lot. I like the 26 a lot. But if you're having trouble finding your dot, it's probably that versus just like blurry iron sights, you know. So some people are more comfortable with that. They don't do enough training. Their index isn't as good. But anytime somebody says irons are faster than a dot, I'm like, I don't know mechanically how that's true, right? So I mean, yeah, you know, it's like I pick a spot somewhere. This is what I should be doing. I pick a spot somewhere, and then I present the gun, and then I'm either seeing color, right, of the dot, whatever dot that I'm using, or I see like, you know, blurry sight somewhere in between that should be lined up, and I'm pulling the trigger, you know. So I don't know mechanically how one is faster or slower than the other. I don't know how that works. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into a little bit of wackiness and things you should not do for $100, or, you know, do not pass go, do not collect $200, I should say. Belleville man sold illegal Glock switches to undercover agent in CVS parking lot, feds say. Man, of all the dumb things to get caught doing to ruin your life over, selling switches to hoodlums. Like, honestly, I don't really even have any respect for you. It's one thing to, like, you know, be based and be like, screw the system, screw the government, screw the ATF. I'm gonna have my own switches and do my thing, right? But if you're the distributor for the local gangs of switches, then I actually have no respect for you, because you're actually just hurting your own people for a couple bucks in cash, right?
I just think IV88's looking a little rough these days.
Yeah, I thought he lost weight. It looks like he brought it all back. Jeez. Wayne County, Michigan federal agents said a convicted felon from Belleville sold illegal machine gun conversion devices known as Glock switches in a CVS parking lot, bragged about testing them with thousands of rounds of ammo, and admitted he could turn firearms fully automatic for cash. I mean, the Glock switch is like one of the easiest conversions of all time. According to a complaint filed the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, investigators were already looking at W. Wayne Sherry, 56, for suspected federal gun crimes when they learned he had allegedly dropped off a dangerous gift at a Belleville area gun shop, a bag of Glock switches. At a gun shop, you dropped off a bag. Like, you know that the ATF regulates gun shops. They regulate FFLs. You should not be doing illegal like, just regardless of moral versus immoral or anything like that, you really it's like doing a drug deal in front of the DEA's office. It's like probably not a bright idea. Really stupid, actually. Employees at Downriver Guns in Belleville allegedly told agents that in the first week of February 2026, Sherry came in to shoot his personal firearm on the range. Afterward, he chatted with staff and left his cell number. When he walked out, he left a bag on the counter. Inside, workers found 5 plastic Glock switches, also called machine gun conversion devices, suspected of being made on a 3D printer. Once they realized what they were dealing with, they destroyed the items and discarded them. Now, I know some people are going to be really upset at the gun store employees for like ratting out on this guy, but this guy could have gotten them indicted on charges. The workers there, the owners, the operators of the FFL. Like, if you just leave a bag of, like, that's almost planting evidence, you know.
And
if you drop off
entrapment, if it was,
yeah,
or a phishing, if it was an ATF agent.
Well, but I don't even get the logic behind that. Like, I'm gonna drop, like, if I left cocaine at the White, that's a bad example. If I was at the department store and I left a bag of cocaine on the counter, and then the cops came and confiscated it and then arrested me later on. It's like, what are they supposed to do about it? Lie? Not, I mean, you could say, oh, well, they're not supposed to just not say anything. I don't know. That guy just tried to get you in trouble. From my idea, it's like, I run a real business. I like my family. I like my wife. I like my kids. I like my dog. You know, I would like them not to die. How dare you attempt to ruin my life? Like, I had somebody years ago in Washington State when I was there, just meeting up for, selling optics or something like that. And he offered me like silencers, and I was like, nope, we're done. Never again. You're never allowed to contact me. Lose my number. Like, this is over. Like, you are absolutely not allowed to sell a public figure illegal devices. You're either a federal agent or legitimately retarded, and that means you're a danger to me and my family. Employer, Glock switch. Yeah, we know what a Glock switch is. Before the undercover purchases with Sherry, agents said that they pulled Sherry's record. Databases showed Sherry was convicted in Georgia in 1987 after a plea to a series of felony charges, including interference with government property, burglary, possession of a firearm, and possession of tools during the commission of a crime, possession of a firearm by a felon, carrying a concealed weapon, and carrying a pistol without a license. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Now, I mean, one could make the argument that since these a felon in 1987. But what I'm saying is, you could make the argument, well, listen, he was a felon in 1987. Surely in the 30 years post that, without any additional criminal proceedings, he could get his gun rights back. Especially since it wasn't for anything violent. It was like burglary and, interference with government property, which I don't even know what that means. That might be really base.
Raiding mailboxes.
I mean, whatever it might have been, but you could argue in the 30 years post that he should probably have his gun rights restored. In 2011, Cherry pleaded, actually, never mind. I read another sentence. My bad. My bad for having eyes. In 2011, Cherry pleaded guilty to misdemeanor domestic assault in Alabama to his sister and was sentenced to 1 year, according to the complaint. On February 18th, 2026, the ATF agent working undercover called the cell numbers. Employees said Cherry had left. A person later identified as W. Wayne Sherry answered. According to the complaint, the undercover asked about buying Glock switches. Sherry allegedly said he did not have aluminum switches at the time, but he did have plastic switches available for $20 each. So I wonder if that means that he was importing aluminum switches from China or from some other website and then selling them at a big markup. And he was, of course, printing his own $20, 3D printed ones. To prove the devices work, Sherry allegedly sent a video via text saying plastic on a 17 Gen 3, which the feds say is slang for a third generation Glock 17. No, that's literally just what that is. The clip showed a person holding a handgun, pulling the trigger, and emptying the entire magazine with a single pull of the trigger, according to the filing. The agent then arranged to purchase one of the plastic switches. Guys, I don't know about you, but why does anyone care? I mean, obviously, if you're a youth, right, a future doctor, of course, then switches are simpler to you and more cost effective. But why, as like rational humans, is anyone interested in a switch when legitimate FRTs exist that do the same thing and the cops can't touch you for them, right? Sure, they're a little more expensive, but like, why wouldn't we just do that? Like, what's the rationale behind giving the feds a chance to ruin your life forever? Like, why? You don't even have to have a firearm. Just having this piece in your pocket is 5 years, Sherry allegedly said, even if you don't own a firearm. Yes, you're retarded. Sherry also allegedly said that he was in possession of an M4 rifle equipped with a machine gun conversion device that he would convert a lower receiver to fully automatic for $600. So that's $600. It's again, FRDs are like $99, dude. As super safeties are like $99, dude. What is this guy on about? Dude, maybe if this was in 2005, this would make sense. But this is the big 2026, dude. Somebody's getting ripped off for a $600 machine gun there. He said he can make aluminum Glock switches, but with the cold weather, has not made any. So he was making them himself. All right, making them at night, and directed the undercover agent to the CVS to finish up the buy. When the undercover agent pulled into the CVS parking lot, they parked next to a black Chevrolet Silverado. Sherry was allegedly behind the wheel and alone in the truck. Sherry got into the passenger seat of the undercover vehicle and handed the agent a plastic bag with 5 suspected Glock switches. In return, the agent gave him $20. $20 for 5? Damn. For $20, dude. Like, Sherry, like, I get like the base, like, government is gay, screw the ATF, yeah. Anyways, you're really stupid, and now you're going to jail, dude, and that's rough. That's not fun. Hope you don't have any family or anyone depending on you, you know. During the meeting, Sherry allegedly described his 3D printing operation, said it could cost about $400 for the printer, $29 for the filament, making the cost of 5 switches about $1 to print. Sherry then allegedly told the agent that he had gone through about 1,000 rounds of ammo to make sure they worked. He said the video he sent the undercover Fed showed a 3D printed device on his personal Glock and that he was the one firing the weapon. And he's admitting to everything. Like, there's a part of me, of course, that feels bad because this stuff should be totally legal anyways. But the other part of me is like, you're so stupid. Like, you're so oblivious, naive, and retarded that I lose the ability to feel bad for you, right? You're just so stupid. Cherry also said that he planned to manufacture the aluminum conversion devices when the weather warmed up, and that he sells fully automatic low receivers for $700. Right. Natural selection. I guess. Federal investigators said they checked the NFA registration and transfer record and confirmed Sherry has no firearms or machine guns registered to his name. Court records showed a sealed warrant for Sherry's arrest was filed on March 6, 2026. ATF and Detroit police had been investigating Sherry since February for multiple possible crimes, including felon in possession of a firearm, illegal possession of a machine gun, and dealing with firearms without a license. Now, all of that would be gay in and of itself. I also really detest the idea of that this guy was selling switches to inner city youths, right? So not only is he retarded, but he's also doing damage to perhaps good people in the mix, or, you know, probably each other mostly. But I just really dislike that. This man has no discretion. He has no intelligence. And I don't know, man. Based ATF? Like, what am I supposed to do here with this? This guy was obviously a retard. It's the smartest libertarian. True, dude. This is big brain time. Big brain time. Yeah. Sodom and Gomorrah type situation. Yeah, well, good luck out there, Wayne. Good luck. Maybe some good can come out of it, though, because maybe he can go after or at least announce like everybody that he sold to, and he can get like a bunch of gangs indicted. Maybe that would be good. I don't know.
That's probably
I
a
don't know.
bunch of old white dudes like him.
Lost Air says, John and Richard, are you guys Jade pilled? What the heck is Jade? Are we talking about Jade Alert, Gem Alert, Jade? Jada Pinkett Smith? Who's Jade?
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
Out your mouth. We should get that clip. That's a good clip. All right. Now here's a wacky one. Another one of these people going a little wacky, okay? Going a little silly, doing a few things that you probably shouldn't do, you know, threatening public officials while base should be relegated to Minecraft, you know. Mag dump Trump, which sounds like Kagan Dunlap or Mag dump Morgan, but this is Mag dump Trump, so some sort of conflation of the two. Military vet accused of threatening to kill president while hoarding guns, arrested on new charges moments after appearing in court. We have an update to this story as well. A military veteran from Oregon who is accused of threatening to kill President Donald Trump and ICE supporters in a slew of social media posts while stockpiling AR-style rifles, shotguns, tannerite, explosives, and other weapons, was arrested on new charges just moments after appearing in court for his threats case last week. Now, when they say stockpiling AR rifles, shotguns, blah, 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 like just today, I bought another 4,500 rounds of ammo. Should we talk about the ammo shortage? If we talk about the ammo fears, well, it probably doesn't, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it after this story. All right. Juror was reportedly taken into custody just moments after he entered a plea of not guilty in his threats case, which stems from online posts he allegedly made last year. I can't wait until Trump is dead, Juror said, is accused of writing in a Facebook post reported to U.S. Secret Service, according to the federal complaint. Now, this is not a threat. I can't wait until Trump is dead. Like, you can have that opinion. You know, you could argue moral, immoral. You shouldn't, say that public, or maybe it's not nice to say that, but that is just like an opinion. That's not me saying I am going to kill the president of the United States. That would be very illegal. But saying like, man, I don't like him and I wish he was dead. Like, I don't know. You're allowed to not like people. That's kind of okay. It's one of at least a half dozen threats that Juror made against Trump and ICE supporters. Now, why would this guy hate ICE? Why would he hate ICE? That's so strange. He's also accused of threatening a Nevada commissioner who confirmed to the Nevada Independent that she was targeted in X posts. Juror stated that he wanted to mag dump Trump. See, now that's the threat. Lead with that one, okay? Juror stated that he wanted to mag dump Trump. Okay, that's the threat. The federal complaint alleges the ICE building that Juror is accused of targeting in the arson attack, is located in the 600 block of South Bancroft Street and has been the focus of numerous anti-ICE demonstrations, which Juror has taken part in. According to the Oregonian, he has reportedly been spotted protesting there while wearing a bomber-style jacket and holding a Captain America shield. You don't look very Captain America to me, dude. You don't look very Captain America to me. The two people the Juror allegedly targeted in the threats case are described by federal prosecutors as a mother and her 13-year-old son who attended a ICE counter-protest in support of immigration enforcement called Patriots Night, according to the complaint. Now, I do have to say that while based, a mom who I guess is in support of ICE, that's all well and good. Do not drag your child to a protest in which insane Antifa types will attempt to murder you. Okay, just a bit of OPSEC for you. There is no reason to endanger your child, even in, the pursuit of the based, let's say, by putting them around, Antifa terrorists. Do not do that. No, thank you. Divine punishment will be the price for your wickedness, Juror allegedly wrote in X messages to the 13-year-old. That's ironic. Man, that's ironic. Huh. Jesus can't save you from what's coming. According to the complaint, excited for the obituaries. Man, isn't that so? Like, these are the lovely pro-immigrants right here. Super. I need more of them in my country right now. Please, Donald Trump, 10 million more to this country. Please, open the borders. Jur was arrested at his home in mid-February by FBI agents who executed a search warrant and found his alleged weapons cache. Again, anytime they talk about it's gay, it's like they would say that I've been stockpiling ammo for years and I'm sort of like terrorist cell leader because I have a Discord. You know, it's like that's gay. Portland police officer previously filed for an extreme risk protection order against Jur in response to accusations that he was becoming increasingly hostile to law enforcement officers and making threats to use lethal force. In his alleged threats towards the Nevada commissioner, prosecutors say Jur wrote, "I'm coming down to Nevada for you." Huh. And I hope you have your doors and windows locked because I love a challenge when hunting my prey. Hashtag MAGA Hunters PDX. Totally sane individual. Nice. Very nice. Yeah, that's the big no-no. Congratulations there. Jur's public defender has described him in court as being a U.S. Navy veteran with 10 years of active duty experience. Navy not beating the gay allegations. Damn. Navy's strongest soldier. 5 years with the Coast Guard. Ooh, also indicted. Damn. And training as a paramedic. Damn. I know somebody just like this. Looking at you. You know who you are. And rescue swimmer. Jur's Facebook page, which has been deactivated, reportedly claimed that he studied cybersecurity at Mount Hood Community College. Not great OPSEC for somebody who claimed to study cybersecurity and had worked as a voice and network engineer. He posted on LinkedIn last month that he was starting a new job as an IT systems architect for the state of Oregon, but a spokesperson told the Oregonian that he was not employed at that time. And a quick update. Let me see. Oh no, this is not the update. Okay, sorry. This is a different one. Okay. I lied. I don't have an update to that story. I don't have an update to that story. He was never a rescue swimmer. I'll take your word for it. I will take your word for it. Okay, I lied. I don't have an update to that story, but let me pull this up from the Glock store, I think. I think the Glock store is one of those guys pushing it. Basically, the idea that there is a coming ammo shortage or a coming, prerequisite part shortage or anything like that. I think Glock store has the post. Okay, nope, that's not it. Oh, is it one of those lame story posts? I hate that. I hate that when they're always story posts. Okay, well, anyways, there are people saying that there is going to be an ammunition shortage. While that is, technically possible, and I would expect a slight price hike, I don't think it's going to be a shortage in the traditional sense of the word. I don't think you're actually going to need to stockpile or panic buy. I don't think we're going to have a COVID-esque situation, but we've had falling prices of ammo for about 3 years. Now, you may not like where it is at right now. You may, long for the days of 27 cents a round for, Lake City M193, but those days are gone, right? When you factor in inflation from 2019 to now, prices are pretty stabilized, right? They're still maybe a little bit high, maybe like 10% high, but they're pretty stabilized. So, good brass case ammunition right now is going for about 43 cents a round. Just today, I bought another 500 rounds of Fiocchi Range Dynamics and Hornady, their practice ammo, for 42 to 43 cents a round for the bundle. And then I also bought 4,000 rounds of 9mm today for about 22.5 cents a round, shipped, right? So while I would expect, honestly, prices to increase a little bit because, we are having conflicts in the Middle East, of course, with Iran. So we're getting, oil and a bunch of other exports are getting more expensive as there's definitely going to be delays and disruptions in the actual supply chain. But then we also have China to think about as well. If something does happen in Taiwan, if they choose to restrict their exports of the, components that we're not making here, whether it's a lot of the raw materials, we can definitely see prices rise. So what are they going to rise? Is it going to double or triple like it did in 2020? Probably not. Is it going to go up 20%? Is it going to go up 30%? Maybe that's more likely. So if I really had to guess right now, and why I don't think there's any need to panic buy, again, I say that as if I haven't just bought a lot of ammo, but that's what I buy a month, right? That's somewhere between 4,500 and 6,000 rounds a month is what I buy. And sometimes there's like little fill orders in the middle or something like that. But what I would expect to happen is that 9mm is going to go up a little bit, probably about 30 cents a round, right? Which is, that's really obnoxious. You know, it's 20% rise, 15% rise. And then 5.56 will probably shoot up to maybe 55 or 60 cents a round on average, which also really sucks. You know, so prices are going to go up a little bit. People are going to shoot a little bit less. I still think, you know, most of you probably aren't dry firing enough as it is. So is that really that big of a deal? And some of us are months ahead in terms of our stockpile, but like if ammo prices, even if they doubled for me, I would probably just take the hit, right? Because I mean, I get paid to shoot. So for me, it's a lot more economically viable than for some of you guys out there. But for those of you who can't just take the hit, you know, you're going to reduce your ammo spend, right? And you should probably just take that ammo that you're not spending, that time that you're not shooting, and you should probably just dry fire or move that over to other non-essentials or things that aren't ammunition related, right? So maybe instead of spending so much on ammo, you move over to finish up other setups, to finish, you know, supplies for yourself and your family, other long-term storables, whatever that might be, right? So panic buying, nah, I really don't think that that's necessary. Again, I don't think we're going to see a 2020 level worldwide pandemic. The only situation in which I see something like that is if Israel nukes Iran or China invades Taiwan, right? I think those two situations will cause most prices to skyrocket on a lot of things, right? Because I think once that happens, a lot of exports, a lot of imports will almost immediately be cut off, and we'll have to open up new vectors, right? So, like, if we stop getting a lot of our raw materials from China, well, maybe we'll have to look in our own hemisphere for those things, right? Maybe we'll have to look to places like Turkey or other places in the Middle East that we're actually ostensibly allies with to try and get out other sorts of raw materials from. So other trade routes will emerge if the global supply chain has issues or has a shakeup. But yeah, other than that, I don't foresee prices like doubling or tripling overnight like they did last time when 9mm was going for $1 a round, right? I don't see that anytime soon, fortunately, unless there's some sort of worldwide catastrophe. And if there is a worldwide catastrophe, then we probably have other things we should be worrying about. Now, what I would recommend right now is if you have no stockpiles at all, it is probably a good idea to start doing that in a slow and controlled manner. So let's say you shoot 500 rounds a month and you usually only buy what you shoot. Well, maybe now instead of buying 500 rounds a month, you should buy 750. And then every month you're adding a little bit to your stockpile, a little bit to, you know, your back end supply that you're not really touching every month. That's not part of your normal practice, right? Or if you can afford it, maybe instead of, you know, shooting 500 rounds a month and buying 500 rounds a month, you still shoot that, but then you buy 1,000 or you buy 1,500, right? So you figure out where you can stretch your budget a little bit to stock up a little bit of ammo. That way there, you know, come 12 months from now, you know, come election time, you have 3, 4, 5,000 extra rounds, and that might be 6 to 8 months of training for you, right? So I think if you don't have that already, it'd be time to slowly start to do that, right? Kind of like an ammo savings account, if you will. But I don't think there's any need to go out, you know, max out 2 credit cards to get, you know, 10 cases of 5.56 because it's all going to be gone tomorrow. I don't think that's going to happen. All right. What are you thinking, homie? What are you thinking? Carver says, as if anyone watching this has no stockpile. I mean, you'd be surprised. I feel like, I mean, I shoot a lot, but my stockpile is probably not as good as people think it is, you know? Just because I shoot so much, I buy everything I buy, which is a high volume. I shoot a lot, so I probably have less than most of you think.
I got a couple thousand of 5.56 and a couple thousand of 9. I cycle through it. The other stuff that I don't shoot as much, like 308, 6.5, all that, You know, I've got like maybe 1,000 of each. Not even 1,000 of 6.5 because I've got like 500 or 600 rounds because I gave a bunch of it to a buddy. So it's like I don't stockpile stuff that I'm not shooting a lot of. It doesn't make sense. I don't have the room for it.
The only thing that it's funny right now, I don't have a 22 caliber or anything right now, but I do have like 20,000 rounds of it in my closet. So I should probably just pick up something cheap for that. But for me, it's like I have a few oddball calibers, but I don't like stock anything. I mean, I have about 4,000 rounds of 9, 5.56, and 7.62 by 39 on my floor, and then I have a bunch in the cases behind me. So I probably have somewhere between like 30 and 50,000 rounds on hand. But like 20,000 of that, 30,000 of that is 22. So it's probably not as much as a lot of you guys think. Oh, actually, no, that is true. Amplified the signal. I do have a conversion kit. I do have the CMMG conversion kit for 22. So I actually, I do have a way to shoot all that 22. Thank you for reminding me of that. I forgot I had that. That's somewhere around here.
I was shooting old 22 today, and I had 2 cases that busted right out on the primer. At first I thought it was an out of bad detonation, and then it happened twice. But it was just like 35 years old.
Bad ammo. Yeah it happens. Just some space cowboy over on Rumble says, perfect time for my 243 Winchester battle rifle concept to take the edge off of 308 while I retain increased range, especially in something like the SFAR. I forgot. Yeah, speaking of oddball calibers, because I'm shooting your MNP, I have a couple. You guys can kind of see it. There's that like a 50-pound bag of 40 cal on the floor back there. Yeah, so I mean, I have some oddball calibers for sure.
50-pound box of rape.
Well, that's over there, but the 40 you can see is right back. There's a huge bag on the floor back there. All right. Zanico for 2 says, Richard, it's time. Turn your camera on. No, trust me, you would much rather look at the National Waifu Association than you would Richard. Trust me. Okay, just enjoy the anime waifu that people pay. Not that one, damn it. That people pay Richard to have. Thank you, Zandico. Vandalay for 2 says, did you sabotage YouTube mobile, push people to Rumble? No, YouTube self-sabotages. They are not particularly good about keeping their billion-trillion-dollar streaming service up to date and actually operational. Thank you, our Vandalay. Appreciate it, sir. Tark for 5 says, I should clarify, I flinch worse with my 19 Koa than my 26. I think it's the tiny movements of the dot psyching me out. Well, that's the thing. You can't be looking at that thing. Who cares about the dot, dude? The dot is like this really obnoxious thing that it's basically just a confirmation thing that tells you that it's in the right spot. But it should be really obnoxious anytime the dot's like actually hovering over what you're looking at. That's the point. Don't look at it. Thank you, Tarke. Tusk for 2 says, my uncle says, just pop a fart in a Draco. I don't know what you mean by that, Tusk. And because I know of you and your uncle's tenuous relationship, I'm going to move on from that comment. Thank you, Tusk. SDK Rapscallion for 5 says, self-defense situation with lots of innocent bystanders. Remembers no Russian. Very on brand for the Browns. Yeah. What bystanders? I had to defend myself in public. Tuss the third for 2 says, Kmart Larry Vickers. Yes. Many such cases. Thank you, Tusk. Justin Space Cowboy for 5 on YouTube. Clearly, focus isn't invested in the Jade market. Shaking my head. Also, I explained what ASN is on a Discord. ASN is... Oh, I see what that is. Let me pull it up real fast. Here you go. There you go. Thank you, Justin Space Cowboy. I appreciate that. That's a good one. All right. Let's see here. Well, we're 2 hours into the show. We actually, that took a lot longer than I thought it would to get through all of that. We didn't really have a packed show for tonight. Yeah, he was. He definitely was. Jake saying anything is despicable is wild. No Jade here. All right, I'll get the joke eventually. Don't worry about it. But speaking of Jades, which I think is what Jake is referring to. Jake is kind of a Jade himself when you think about it. But speaking of other Jades, we have a woke Australian author and pro-trans activist has been charged with further child sex crimes after first being charged in January. Craig Silvey has been allowed to be out on bail. Mr. Silvey Mr. Sylvie. Is this Jade? Jake, is this Jade? Is this Jade? I gotta know. Is this Jade or no? It definitely seems very J-coded. I don't know if it's Jade-coded, though. Popular Australian author Craig Silvey has been charged with 2 further exploitation offenses, including allegedly producing child exploitation material. Mr. Silvey, 43, was charged in January with distributing and possessing child exploitation material. The award-winning author, you say, has now been charged with another count of possession, as well as a new charge of producing child exploitation material. On Monday morning, he appeared in Fremantle Magistrates Court, and his bail conditions were continued. Bail, you say? I don't think so. I don't think so. Jade the Gemstone, the Schnooze. Looks like James. Oh, no. Oh, no. Opium Stream. I'm still not going to get it. It's fine. It's fine. All right. Well, that's going to continue on here. Now, the reason why I put this guy in the thumbnail is because it just looks like Ian McCollum. It just does. If you take Ian McCollum back 20 years, this is literally just Ian McCollum. Now, I also included this in there because Reddit hates me and I hate Reddit. And Reddit just produces some of the biggest, we're almost 2 hours in, but the types of people who consume material that should win them the Millstone Award, okay? Maybe that's what the award that the author should have been winning, was the Millstone Award, all right? A top transgender Reddit moderator, oh my, what a sentence. Top transgender Reddit moderator. Richard, does this top transgender Reddit moderator imply the existence of a bottom transgender Reddit moderator?
I believe it does. And either way,
Gay.
Yes. Has deleted his account after being exposed as a convicted child sex offender. Brandon Bryn Dunlevy was a moderator at r/MTF and was reportedly protected by the head of the moderation team. And we have the full story here. Yes, the fact that this guy looks so much like Ian, I mean, it's obviously just unfortunate French physiognomy at play here, but damn, forgotten weapons, more like forgetting minors, or I don't know, dude, there's got to be some funny play on words here. Got to be something witty that one could interject.
forgotten diapers.
Forgotten diapers. Oh, no. Oh, no. All right. Let's put here. Reddit users are expressing outrage after learning that a moderator involved in 3 of the largest trans-focused subreddits is a child sex offender. Forgotten charges. That's good. Forgetting age gaps. Forgotten women. Forgotten boundaries. Child weapons. Interesting. The guy that Carl wishes he was friends with. That's true. That's true.
Oh, dark.
Yeah. Forgot my gender. And may have received protection from another transgender moderator. You don't say. Trannies protecting tranny pedos? No way. That's wild. Brandon Dunlevy, also known as Bryn or useless Ranshin the Anarchist. Dude, every time there's an anarchist, there's an SRA member, there's a Antifa guy, they're all just tranny pedos. That's just how it is. You're just a troon. You're just a mentally deranged man. You're just insane. You're just retarded. Like, that's all it is. That's all it is. If we had insane asylums, like the SRA and Reddit as a whole would probably just dissolve, right? Active user base goes to 0 per month, right? Just bring back insane asylums. Yeah. Get in the padded room. Whatever, Mr. Bud. Sure, dude. In his post, u/Living East Bud described as a dispute that had emerged on r/MTF involving use. Oh my gosh. To come forward and clarify the I'm not reading all that. The primary thing I've been pondering on is how on earth I can actually bring this to light without making it seem like I'm just trying to get revenge. Yes, of course. Think about yourself as you're exposing pedos. To be honest, I don't think there's any foolproof way for me to do that. Frankly, I'm furious over the situation. That's right. Make it about you. This moderator's primary reasoning for excluding me from the community was to protect the children from my weird ass kink post, which were always marked as 18 plus. Again, this is one of those stories where, like, if every human involved just disappeared, right? Would the world be better or worse? And it's just obvious that it'd be better, right? If they just disappeared through magical, extra normative means, if they just were dissolved from reality in some sort of, far away fantasy hypothetical situation, the world just becomes a better place. Then I find out that they're openly defending a child predator being on the mod team. Inconsistent? Wait, you're telling me somebody who's switching teams is not ideologically consistent? That's wild, dude. Due to this, user included a number of screenshots from what appeared to be a private Discord conversation in late 2025. In one message, the top r/MTF moderator, Cedar Wolf, of course, there's also a little bit of furry thrown in there as well, under the handle Cedar Paw, kill me now, expresses a reluctance to remove Dunleavy from the team because the next few years are going to be very hard for trans folks. That's right. You know what? The administration's going to be mean to trannies. So protect faggot pedophiles. All right. We must, yes. Trans people have it hard, so protect our pedos. Maybe that's our next slogan, protect our pedos. And instead suggest Dunleavy change his username to better hide his identity. Cedar Wolf suggests that Dunleavy can establish a fresh Reddit reputation under a new username by spending a week on other subreddits. So he's trying to wash the account and pretend that he's just not a convicted sex offender. The next screenshot shows other anonymized, whatever you call it, users, presumably other MTF moderators, firmly rejecting the plan and threatening to leave the moderation team if Dunleavy was allowed to remain in a position of authority. So at least some of the other trannies have some sort of, moral compass. They're like, you know what? We're all crazy psychos here, but I draw the line at furry pedophiles, okay? I draw the line, all right? All the other stuff I was cool with, okay? But listen, the furry pedophilia is just too far. I just want you to ask yourself how this would look from an outsider's perspective. Okay, here we go. One anonymized user proposes a registered sex offender was on the mod team. Said sex offender was removed, then reinstated under a new account to keep them in a position of authority. All this in a community that has repeatedly been bashed as sexual deviants in what is now mainstream media. Well, listen, if you don't want to be bashed as sexual deviants, maybe you should stop. What did they write? Protect children from my weird ass kink posts. Maybe you wouldn't be labeled as sexual deviants if you weren't just obvious sexual deviants. Huh. Another user agrees, writing, yeah, I can't sufficiently express how bad of an idea that would be if you're going to ignore Lilith. Send me a Discord message first. Of course they're called. So I can first nuke my account before that happens. I mean, listen, satanic, pedophile, transgender, it's just all of it. It's all of the mental delusions. It's all of the inversion. It's all of the evil. It's just gross. It's just gross.
Why is it always a Bryn or a Lilith?
Well, of course. Well, Lilith's, of course, because they're trying to make a mockery of Christ and Christian religion, and that's a very has a lot of satanic underpinnings to that. Now, what's the other Bryn? Isn't that the Valkyrie tranny?
Yeah.
Isn't that also a Bryn?
Yeah, it is. Although there's a few guys in the Discord who are very
but those are sub 70 IQ animals, namely Desert Rat. I mean, come on, bro. You think he's you think he's good tell? All right, he got duped. He got big duped by that, and that is a bit of an oof. But yeah, that is I'm not even going to read the rest of that. You get it. Trans Reddit moderators, just such a cacophony of evil. Attempt to protect pedophile here and keep him on the moderating staff of tranny subreddits. It couldn't be any more obvious, could it? It's yep, It's kind of like if you know, in this very hypothetical situation, if you just, you know, removed forcibly, like you just rounded up, let's say, maybe put them in camps too. But if we just, in this hypothetical scenario, if we just got rid of all of the Reddit moderators, like all of them, every single one, it'd be like the Kenosha Kid, right? Shooting into a crowd of Antifa and magically taking out 2 pedos and a wife beater or a domestic abuser, right? It just would just end up that way, right? You know, it'd just be like magically you get rid of a bunch of sex pests and weirdos. Like that's just how it would happen, you know? Not that there's any connection there, but it just would, you know?
Well, this guy is amongst the esteemed rankings of Reddit moderators, along with Ghislaine Maxwell.
True. Well, actually, it's very Ghislaine coded, right? Very, very Ghislaine coded.
Yeah.
Now, how
thing
about
I have to say to these guys and the moderators as well over there is
Kill yourself, faggot.
Understood. Sheep Herder for 5 says, I grabbed 250 rounds of M8551A1 the other day. Nice. For like $4 a round. And now it's gone up to 13. That's called investing, guys. Take notes. Well, M855A1 isn't that great, so I would sell it at $13 a round, dude. I would take that money and put that somewhere else. But thank you, Sheep Herder. I mean, I'm glad to hear you got some. It's cool ammo, but you should not be paying that much for it. That's insane. Cody Fisher for 10 says, have we seen the All My Friends Hate Drones IG feud exploding? Thoughts, Johnny and Richard. All my friends hate drones. I mean, listen, if the drones are on my side, I'm a big fan. If the drones are not on my side, I don't like them. So I do get that. If we're talking about some sort of like, you know, ideal warfare, I actually think that warfare should be done hand to hand, all right? Because there's got to be some personal skin in the game. I really dislike the idea of, you know, remote controlling death. Like you're so far away from it, there's no like personal stake in it. So I think all combat should be settled hand to hand, even though that puts me at a disadvantage because of my esteemed height. But still, I think that all combat should be done hand to hand because I think that the further the distance gets away, the more removed the individual is from it, the less valor there is, right? The less bravery there is, the less personal stake there is. And it's all just fake video game, gay, empty feeling, you know?
I think.
And also when you see the horror up close and you see, you know, you have that real stake involved, I think it reduces your appetite for it in some way.
I think war should be the leader of each country going up against each other in a one-on-one Roman gladiator style for everyone to watch. Make a spectacle out of it.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be in power if we could make them do that, though. That's the problem. But no, I have not seen. I tried to look that up on X real fast. I didn't see anything on that, Cody. But thank you. Hope you're having a good night, sir. Appreciate you hanging out there. We are going to jump scare you real fast with the Cocos. The Cacoas? Now, we've seen this guy before. This guy was heavily featured in a documentary/mockumentary about these guys that were infiltrated by federal agents, and then one of them started committing crimes and pointing guns at people. And this is Sasquatch, all right, who is now at the Virginia rallies protesting the new anti-2A horrifying laws that have gone into effect or are going into effect in Virginia. And he is giving an interview here. And good on him. You might think that this rotund gentleman is, you know, truly a Sasquatch. But I'll have you know, he is probably 100 pounds down from previous. So he's actually doing quite well for himself.
I want to show you these. So what you got? A lot of the militias in Virginia, they're not consolidating into one group, but they're getting more in tune. They're getting more, I guess, the edges are getting round, you know, getting cleared up. So what's happening is that we've established a website, all of the militias across Virginia, to help people who want to join.
Now, keep in mind that this was the guy previously that did have like federal agents join his militia and start pushing for illegal activities, start literally IRL Fed posting, right? Pointing guns at people, doing all this. And now the same individual is trying to get a combined website put together for all of the Virginia-based, Virginia cringe, militias, right? Which is like, I feel like that goes against the idea of having all of these separated cells, these separated, groups, because of course, when they're not together, they're much harder to infiltrate. They're much harder to segregate and destroy. So having them isolated in some way is better for the individuals within the militias. It makes them more secure. And so trying to get some, large website user base, collecting all of their information in one spot, probably not a great idea. Probably not. Sus. Register here, comrade. Keep in mind that this guy's group has literally been used for Fed posting before. So it just coming from this guy, not a great idea. Not a great plan.
Join a group and find a group in their area. This website, our goals are clearly defined. The legality behind it is defined. And so we have these cards here.
Virginia, if you guys can't read it, Virginia Constitutional Militias Prepared Principles Defending the Rule of Law. Join a constitutional militia near you. www.vamilitias.org.
You can see that. And that website is active. If you go on that website and hit contact, fill out your information, somebody will be in touch with you. Just let us know where you're at if you want to join a group, and you'll be put in touch with somebody from your area, from your counties. If there isn't a group in your area, but there are a bunch of people who want to start a group and don't know how to start it, we can also...
Well, I think that is something that people do just have to get over as well. Like, if you're going to be part of any group or any just group of guys that go out in the woods and have fun and, like, practice patrols or something like that, you do just have to understand that agents will be there or involved or aware of it in some way, shape, or form. And as long as you don't do anything illegal or untoward, it's not really going to be a problem. So there's two effects, right? Infiltrating or the threat of infiltration. Not only does it have a chilling effect where it makes people not want to join or be afraid to join, or you have legitimate concerns with joining, of course. But then there also have, of course, the hard aspect of it where they actually could, join. They actually could infiltrate. They actually could get your information, try and entrap you, try and get you to do something stupid, so on and so forth. So it's a case-by-case basis. I don't know where you guys live. I don't want to know where you guys live. I don't want to know what you guys get up to. But again, use your best discretion when it comes to getting together with a group of good dudes, okay? Good goys, all right?
Carver's got a good point here.
Good. Just buy a patch, it's easy.
Yeah, if you want a militia, just buy a llama patch.
Yeah, buy a llama patch. You could definitely do that. That way there we know who the op 4 is. Llama patch, top priority kills, okay? Bounties on all the llama. That's a joke. That's a joke. Llama fans, okay? Love you very much. I have a llama patch around here somewhere, okay? It's a joke.
So that's something that's coming together. So yeah.
Well, so Jared Hillard says militias are gay. Just get a group of like-minded friends, no more than like 10. Yeah, but what's the difference between that and a militia, right? And if somebody is aware of this group, are they gathering, intel on you for what you do, right? I mean, if anybody posts to social media, if anybody does something like that, undoubtedly you're in some database somewhere and some group is aware of you. That's just how it goes.
So our goals are clearly stated, and we're very clear on kicking people out who don't follow the law and who try to do bad stuff. So, like for instance, Russ Vane, who was who tried to get my group, the Virginia Coast, to do bad stuff. We kicked him out. We don't tolerate that kind of stain on our movement, and every group is going to be like that. So if anyone is, even if the feds try to join it, and they try to stir some things up, they're going to get shut down immediately and probably kicked out.
Yes, yes, this chat is absolutely a database. And if you are like when people comment publicly, like things that are very obviously Fed posts in the chat, I mean, you should be aware of it. Like, I understand that the things that I say here will one day be presented in court against me, probably, right? That's the risk that I am taking personally. You as individuals in chat, you should be very careful with what sort of information is out there on you, of course. If you're not a public figure, there's no reason to become one because you're just exposing yourself to more risk, you know? And some people in the chat, they just like the meme because it's funny. That's fine.
Now, that's not to say that if, you know, that's not to bash any like law enforcement as far as like, you know, if they need our help in some kind of like really serious situation, you know what I mean? That's fine, you know what I mean? I know several militias that have been contacted because of serious threats, you know, not just some random stuff, but serious threats. And they were able to square things away. So it's not all hostile. But at the end of the day, if a Fed tries to come into the group to do harm, because our goals are clearly, you know, outlined.
Bag it. Next question. But no, that is the Cocoa's back at it again in Virginia. Now, if you're not aware, something else that just came out not too long ago, like yesterday, is that within the bill that is removing the Second Amendment rights, or wide swaths of the Second Amendment rights from their citizenry, of course. However, the provisions of this section shall not apply to any member of the General Assembly. Of course, that's what evil people do. They want to carve out exceptions to the rule for themselves while they make you live under some form of tyranny, right? So these people are evil, disgusting. You can look into the sponsors of the bill and how American they may or may not be, right? But they will absolutely strip you, the law-abiding citizens, of your rights to own different things while exempting themselves from the same. And I mean, this happens at all levels of government, of course. It's like the one guy on your local city council who managed to get all of his stuff zoned for whatever he wants, but the guy on the outside never can for some reason. We just don't know what that's about. It's like all of the senators and congressmen somehow, you know, quintupling their net worth in their first year in office, even though they only get paid like under $200K a year. You know, it's just all these little things, rules for thee and not for me. And I think it is sad to see this in Virginia, as in a lot of ways, Virginia is kind of the heart of the nation. There's so much, you know, history there. Some of our great thought leaders, some of our great military leaders have come from there. And to see it become what it is now is truly sad in a lot of ways, especially for Virginians, you know. Kind of tragic what's happened to the heart of our nation. Look what they doing to my state, man. Yes, indeed, and it is sad, and it's probably only going to get worse if I had to guess. I don't think that it has really a chance to get much better than what it is now. But let's get to some silly stuff, some rage bait for sure. But let's get to some silly stuff now, shall we? So it is spring break. And I hope that you're all spring breaking accordingly. I think that's how you say that as a verb. However, let's see. Sunbathers. Yes, those pesky sunbathers being really obnoxious right now. Breakers? Well, yeah, I know, but in the article or the title, it says sunbathers scattering. Very, very funny. Very interesting choice of words there. Oh, no. What the fuck? Is this Africa? Is this Ghana? Where are we? Oh, this is Florida.
Miami or Daytona.
What did it say? Actually, this is four shootings and massive unruly crowds turned Daytona's beach spring break weekend into a public safety nightmare. You don't say. As thousands fled the sand while police from multiple agencies rushed to restore order. Okay, what are you doing? Go to X. X will actually play the video.
Come to Daytona and you see this bullshit like that, bro. What the f you running from, bro? Like, oh my.
I think I see like one white person. I think I've seen the girl in green. I don't even think
That's
white's very questionable.
Yeah, look at that. All them people, not a single one swimming.
Yeah, you don't say. Not a very diverse crowd. Not a very diverse crowd.
Come to Daytona and you see this bullshit like that, bro.
Johnny Slabu, can I make art or no? I don't know, dude.
Like, oh my God.
Not a single job about them. Yeah. Yeah, I just Florida beaches not looking great. Not looking great. Yeah, sunbathers, you know those pesky sunbathers, they keep ruining everything. I hate sunbathers. Black guy, imagine that. Yeah. Imagine that, huh? Crazy. Well, here we go. Chunk Wigger, okay? This is actually quite funny. So Tucker Carlson the other day had said that the CIA was tapping his text messages, his phone calls, right? They're recording everything that he does, and they're trying to bring some sort of case against him for having communications with a foreign entity in some sort of untoward fashion, right? So Tucker is like not my guy, you know. He's probably an asset for somebody somewhere doing something. So he's not exactly what I would call my guy, but he's been really good lately. He's hit a few hot spots, you could say. He's done some good work calling out the right people, and so he's been doing a good job of late, maybe a little too good. And so the CIA is looking to crack down on him. Now, whether they're actually going to bring charges against him, or if they're just using this as intimidation, or whether it's all just made up inside of Tucker Carlson's head, we'll never know. We'll literally never know. But Cenk Uygur, coming to Tucker's defense, again, odd bedfellows we have made in 2026. Johnny Slabu, I don't know what he's talking about. Can someone answer, is AI art allowed or no? What are you talking about? Where? You can make AI art. As long as I don't see it, I don't care. If Tucker Carlson is actually arrested, the government will have crossed the Rubicon. Whatever ridiculous charges they bring up, everyone will know the real reason was that he opposed the war and Israel. He'll be considered the first American political prisoner within our own country. And somebody simply responds with the actual first American political prisoner within our own country, Derek Chauvin, who did nothing wrong, who followed his instructions to the letter of the law, right? And George Floyd died of an overdose, a lethal dose of fentanyl within his system. And that autopsy report, that medical report, was excluded from Derek Chauvin's trial. But they knew that if they let Derek Chauvin off, if they, justly let him off of murder, because it was not murder, it was not premeditated murder in any way, shape, or form, not even possible, that the blacks would riot. That's literally what Derek Chauvin is in jail right now, to appease black people. That is it, because we were afraid of letting off somebody who did nothing wrong, who followed exactly what he was supposed to do to the letter, to not piss off black people. Derek Chauvin is in jail right now to save black people's fragile egos. That's it. That's it. Why is ivermectin trending? I don't know. I'm not going to look at it. There's a bunch of things, Straits of Hormuz is trending, probably for reasons. Let me see. Why is Straits of Hormuz trending? Did something happen there that I'm unaware of? Oh, well, it is funny that according to the New York Post, Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, is probably gay, which is very funny. Very, very funny. We have an enemy, and they're quite literally gay, but it doesn't seem like there's anything new that's happening. It's just oil tankers lining up in the strait.
We'll have to leave them a couple of rooftops intact.
I guess. What? What is this guy on about? Johnny Slabu? I think he's schizoing out in chat. If somebody wants to, like, Johnny, can you just type what you actually want? If not, we're just gonna ban you for schizo because you're being weird. You're being straight up weird, dude. Johnny's giving me strange vibes here, dog. Johnny's a strange man. Hello? He's asking. I don't know Johnny Slabu. Who the heck is Johnny Slabu? Slabo? Yeah, I don't know. Strange man doing strange things. Now I was thinking about strange men saying strange things. We have a switching of sides here, okay? Here is Mark Levin, former never Trumper, former I will never vote for Trump, wrote a whole book on it or something like that. Now, suddenly, he is Trump's biggest fan because, of course, Trump is working with Israel to destabilize and regime change Iran. Turns out that Mark Levin doesn't really care about America. He cares about Israel because he is a Jewish man who cares about his people and his homeland, right? If only we were allowed to say the same. I actually don't care about Israel all that much. In fact, not at all. And it should probably be a Christian country and not a Jewish country, in my personal opinion. Hashtag Deus Volt. But he says that, let me see, checks notes, rejecting Judaism means rejecting America. And what a wild, wild statement to say. I mean, maybe a bit of a Freudian slip as well, if maybe America is the great Satan, because Judaism is, again, satanic. It is a literal inversion of Christianity. It is a denial of the divinity of Christ. And as Christ himself said, if you do not know me, you do not know my Father, right? So Judaism is not Christianity. It is a perversion and inversion, and it is evil in all its shapes and forms and should be called out. In fact, personally, I think a historical example that worked quite well when confronting foreign religions, evil pagan religions, would be Byzantium, of course. That did not allow people of certain persuasions to hold political office in finance or anything else. And I think that they are, 1,200 years unbroken. Pretty good record, and I think that we should simply do the same here. TJD. Okay, all right, Johnny Slababoo. I will personally, because I've got time and I'm bored, I will personally ban you myself once it shows up. Once the chat actually catches up on the YouTube app, because the YouTube back end is very slow. But let's listen to Mr. Mark Levin find this.
If you reject Judaism and you reject Christianity and you reject the link of the two, you reject the Bible.
No, Mr. Jew, that is not true. That is a ancient Judaizing heresy. You should read up what any of the church fathers said about Judaism. Of course, in 70 AD, at the burning of the Second Temple by Titus Vespasian, that was the fulfillment of many of the Old Testament prophecies about the Jewish people and the fulfillment of that covenant, right? So Judaism, especially post-70 AD, has nothing to do with Christianity. Talmudic Judaism didn't start till 2nd, 3rd, 4th century and kind of developed out of there. So it has nothing to do with the Old Testament. It's a perversion of the Old Testament again because they deny Christ, which is a fulfillment of the Old Testament. Judaism and Christianity have nothing in common with one another, okay? That's like saying Islam and Christianity are the same thing because they technically are monotheist, right? It's like, no, it's just not true. Not at all. Just because they use similar words and there's some word concept fallacy going on there, they are not the same thing. They're not even related to one another. Again, they're diametrically opposed. The worldview of Christianity and the worldview of Judaism are completely opposed to one another.
The overlaps between Judaism and Islam, though, are striking.
Yes, quite a bit. The Hadith and the Talmud looks like one is copying the other's homework.
Judaism and Christianity and the brotherhood and the sisterhood of the two, not only are you rejecting our founding, you're rejecting our country.
Not a lot of Jews at the founding of America, actually. I mean, there's kind of like Western Judaism, which is Masonry. There were certainly a lot of Masons, which has some overlap with Judaism and being a very Interesting sect, which you guys should totally look into. Also probably evil, by the way. But again, I just reject it wholesale, trying to connect Judaism and Christianity. Again, within Judaism, they believe that Christ, God himself, fully God, fully man, is burning in a lake of piss and excrement, right? That's what they believe about Christ. That's what they believe about the Messiah. Again, that is diametrically opposed to Christianity. And again, they have rejected Christ. You could look up, the many parables and many things that Christ has said that will happen to the Jewish people because of their rejection. Many of that which we're seeing play out in the modern day. Good luck there, bro. Good luck with that. Absolutely heinous. Ranked 10 out of 10 heresy. Wouldn't even.
If you reject Judaism and you reject Christianity and you reject the link of the two, you reject the Bible.
Again, Jews reject Christ. Jews reject the Father. If you do not have the Son, you do not have the Father, right? Anything that Jews write in the Talmud or even about the Torah, any of the Old Testament books as well, it's all perversion. It's all inversion. I mean, let me see if I can find this meme real fast for you. The chicken swingers, which I think is a great slur for Jewish people. I think you should just call them chicken swingers. But there's a good meme that's related to that here. Anytime you think that you can trick God into transferring your sins into a chicken, I think that's quite funny. And here's an image that sums up American politics 2026. And many good variations of this meme floating about. But no, Mr. Levin, I not interested in your America that you believe in. No thanks. But moving on, keeping on the Semitic timeline here, Israeli tech billionaire Shlomo Kramer. Shlomo Kramer, huh? I know that it's difficult to hear, but it's time to limit the First Amendment. Well, people like Shlomo Kramer, people like Mark Levin, think that anti-Semitism should be a hate crime. They think that you should not be allowed to post anything that they feel is offensive towards Jewish people or towards Israel, right? Florida, South Dakota, a couple other places, Texas, even have anti-Semitism bills written into law, like Greg Abbott, paraplegic Greg Abbott, flew to Israel to sign an anti-Semitism bill for his constituents in Texas, while at the same time, go watch Tom Foe's video today on all of this, while at the same time he's selling out his state, his constituents, to H-1B Indians, right? So they'll use free speech to take away yours, right? Which is why they view the Constitution, they view the rules as a lawyer does, right? As a trickster would, because they view them as a tool for them to get what they want while denying the same for you. And again, within their own morality system, which is not Christian, it's not based off of Christian ethics. It's, again, diametrically opposed to Christian ethics. They don't believe that you and I are equal to them in any way, shape, or form. They can lie to us, they can steal from us, and that doesn't violate their ethics system. In a lot of cases, they can, murder, rape, enslave, and do a lot of other things. And again, to them, because we're not equal to them, we're not human, we don't have a soul the same way that they do. We are literal goyim to them. Again, it does not even violate their ethics system. And once you understand that this is the way that the world is set up, this is what they want for you, and they don't view you as equals, then the world makes a little bit more sense with what they're trying to get out of it.
The governor of Florida did the exact same thing, flew to Israel to sign a bill for the state of Florida.
Yeah, and I don't have to like pick a side here. I don't have to go, okay, well, this side's really bad. They hate me. Therefore, Muslims are my friend. Again, our worldviews are not going to work out. Now, I have friends that are Muslim and that I have conversations with. I don't have a problem with that. Not as individuals, but I think our worldviews are diametrically opposed. And I think they will just come to blows at some point, right? I think that's a necessary conclusion of the worldviews. Christians' job is to convert people to Christianity. And Muslim's job is to kill the infidel, and I happen to be the infidel, right? So we're kafir to them, we're goyim to the Jews. They don't particularly like either of us. So the enemy of my enemy is not always my friend in this case. But yes, very similar worldviews between, and also if you look into Judaism, they actually like Muslims more than they do Christians. They call Muslims the broom of the Jews, of which they will destroy the West with. Great. Anyways, racist, yes. Well, once you understand that everyone is racist, but only white people are told that it's a bad thing, right? Because everybody loves their people. Everybody wants what's best for their people. Everybody works for an ethnic good, right? For the betterment of their family, of their nation. But only white people are told that that's bad, right? That you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't work for the betterment of your own people. Only white people, right? While at the same time, Jews will do anything it takes to make sure that Jews' well-being is taken care of. And of course, why shouldn't they, right? Same thing with Indians, right? Indians come here, they don't assimilate, they don't care about you, they don't care about your culture, your people. They just want free stuff and to do what's best for them, their families, and their people, right? Because they do not view you the same way you do. There's only one group, it's not allowed to be racist, that's whites. Josh says, have we considered building a very large wall in the Middle East? Yeah, they've been kissing that wall for a little while. I don't know if it's really going to help. No, I don't think a wall is necessary at all. Now, this is the thing that I love when certain ethnicities will tell you about how evil white people are, about how evil our ancestors are. Really, it's just generational cope for being, regarded at conquest, but c'est la vie. But there really is 2 or 3 options here for some of the other peoples out there. You will either be subjugated by the British Empire or you'll be subjugated by the Chinese Empire. So take your pick, honestly. Whoever wins, you lose. Okay, that's kind of how this goes. But white people be slavering us and she enjoy your future. This is what you're going to get without white people handing you welfare checks and marching for your George Floyds. You deserve it. Chinese companies have invested heavily in African countries and also the Middle East, by the way. And here's how one Chinese employer treats its workers. And again, as bad and evil they think you and I are, although you should look into Stop Asian Hate and who was really perpetrating all of the hate crimes against the Asians, right? And in some way, the Asians view the blacks the same way, right? The new Netflix version of slavery, it looks very diverse. Like they can't even have white slavers anymore. Really? Really, Netflix? You had to race swap the slavers too, the plantation owners.
So I
for a
speak
modern
jive
audience.
and Mandarin, and that guy was saying, "You stole my bike."
Kodiak here comes out with the generic take. Everyone has a soul that needs to be saved. And that's the Imago Dei, the image of Christ. You're either saved or you're not, no matter what color. Yeah. Correct. Anyways, back to geopolitics, right? Back to like the way the world actually operates, right? I don't even know what to do with that, right? It's just this very generic term, like we should be nice to people. It's like, yeah, no, totally. Like the ancient Israelites should have just let the Assyrians come in and rape and murder all of their people because like they needed to be saved or something like that. When it's like, no, Christ actually commanded you to kill all the Canaanites and deal with it, bro. And if you don't do that, I'm going to, replace you as king. So, no, thank you. All right. Well, let's see here. Now to switch gears to something a little bit funnier, shall we? Do you guys remember this? I remember seeing this when it first happened. U.S. high school makes history by naming first ever male student homecoming queen. And I remember seeing this years ago and being like, oh, well, this is just disgusting woke culture playing out in the modern landscape. Damn, that's awful. That's rough, dude. Terrible. Anyways, moving on. His name is Zachary Wilmore, and he was recently diagnosed with AIDS. I looked it up. I was like, no way, dude. Yep, nope, it's real. TikTok creator Zach Wilmore is vlogging his life with HIV. Yeah, absentee fathers or kids who weren't bullied enough. Take your pick. Information is power, so I really wanted to help people understand, said the 19-year-old college student who is over 19 years old, gay, HIV, AIDS. 19 years old. So let's see here. Probably abused as a child. Tragic early trauma playing out, messing with your development, turning you gay. Whatever phraseology you want to use for it, probably had a very deep impact to, poor phrasing, to his psychology, messing him up for years and years and years. Does a literal cock carousel, and at 19 years old, AIDS, because you're messing around with other gay dudes who have AIDS and somehow still pretending like this is your best life. Somehow still pretending that this is your best life when you were just passed around until you got AIDS at 19 years old, because old, disgusting gay dudes didn't protect you or care about you and ruined the rest of your life and wanted to pass on both their mental illness, but also their literal illness to you. When Zachary Wilmore received an HIV positive diagnosis in February, keep in mind this guy's 19 years old at this point in time, he said like it felt like it was the end of the world. Yeah, it's the consequences of the dildo of consequences rarely arrives lubed. I really did feel like my life was over that day. 19-year-old San Diego, of course it's in San Diego State University, told NBC News, it's just so stigmatized when people hear that they have HIV and it's forever. Yeah, because you're a literal walking, talking contagion for everyone that you come in contact with. You should be quarantined and set aside for the rest of your life. We should put you in leopard camps, all right? Leper camps, like back in the day.
Cuba's open.
Yeah, Cuba will send them in there as a biological weapon. Speaking of biological weapons, though, let's see. So the Post says that here we have a Mongoloid man, 38-year-old New York City man, arrested for using his car to split 16-year-old in half, killing her after she rejected him. Huh. New York City man. What is New York City man? Is he African or South American? Can't tell.
South American.
Anyways, Mongoloid murders 16-year-old whore, but child, right? 16 years old, dressing like a whore. No father figure detected. Be good fathers, dads. Kids, guys out in the chat. He killed the child because she didn't want him. This is the product of incel red pill culture? Incel? No, this is a Honduran illegal immigrant. What incel culture does this have to do with? I mean, the whore being a whore, rejecting a low IQ, low impulse control savage from Honduran who's already here illegally, and then he kills her with his car. I mean, don't blame Red Pill for this. Don't blame incel for this. Like, we can tell who it is, bro. You know, maybe illegal Honduran animals shouldn't be in America. I don't know. Maybe that's just my stance, right? My one said, it's true.
I bet if you go back and look, that same account advocates for people to not have or to not need IDs and all of that stuff, meaning this creature could have been driving that car without a license. And
of course. Well, of course he didn't have a license. He was legal. I mean, although it is New York, maybe they gave him a
New
license.
York. They would give him a license.
No, dog. I think it's that we let millions of retard animals from the third world into our country and then never remove them because billion-dollar companies like using them to lower our wages. Well, yeah, it's multifactorial, right? Not only is it more competition in the lowest end of the labor bracket, so it brings all wages down, it raises housing prices up, it makes healthcare prices go up, right? All this is good. All this is fantastic. all backed by the state and the citizens, the taxpayers actually paying into it, right? So big corporations love illegal immigrants, okay? Love, 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 love. The more trouble they cause, the better. So good for business. And of course, the more, not just the monetary side of it, but there's also the evil side of it, where the point is to disrupt. The point is to be demoralizing. The point is to kill you, right? The point is to invade your neighborhoods and, all the other awful ills that come along with this sort of behavior.
Yep, they kill you, they call it a tragedy, and then they use that to further their own platform and agenda.
Well, unfortunately, I really hate doing this because, of course, I am Scottish, but I will because I must. Trans rapist who robbed 3 girls of innocence, jailed for 9 years. Raped 3 children, 9 years in prison. I hate, and of course they limited replies because they're faggots at the BBC. Again, dude, if I could fix one country, like, of course I would fix the USA because I'm American, but Scotland would be number 2 on my list, right? If I could just like magically install a based government and remove all of the problematic elements, America would be number 1 on the list, of course. Although if I did it to Israel, then it would remove all of the Israelis, ironically.
Ironically,
anyways,
enough, the Hasidic Orthodox Jewish community agrees with you.
Yeah, this is true, actually. Again, funny bedfellows in 2026. It's me and some Orthodox Jews saying, actually, Jews shouldn't be in Israel. Trans rapist who robbed girls of innocence, jailed for 9 years. A transgender woman who carried out a series of sex attacks on young girls has been jailed for 9 years. Serenity Frances Johnston, 34, abused 3 children who cannot be named for legal reasons in Livingston's West Lothian between November 2006 and April 2012. Johnston targeted girls who were aged between 8 and 15. The attacks included sexual assaults and rape. At the High Court in Edinburgh, Johnston, a biological male formerly known as David, who now identifies as a woman, was jailed for 9 years, with the judge saying the victims were robbed of their innocence and happiness. Look at this degradation of their justice system, dude. The 9 years in jail for attacks that were committed 20 years ago, and the justice system just now gets around to giving this monster 9 years. Wow. Lord Mulholland said the sentences reflect Johnston's lack of remorse for the girls he preyed upon. He added the rapes of young children is a very serious matter, and a lengthy prison sentence will be imposed on those who commit such crimes. Yeah, 9 years, dude? I'm talking about 9 millstones, bro. What are you talking about? Corrupted their childhood. Yeah, I mean, no, monsters like this are allowed to operate in society, and they get slap on the wrist punishment. Like, this guy's going to be out when he's 43 years old. And also, I wonder, it doesn't mention it in the article, but does he go to women's prison? He probably does, because it's Scotland and he's retarded. He probably goes to women's prison for 9 years, where he has, orgies on the weekly, all of the taxpayer expenses. And he's living his best life, literally living his best life. Yeah. I don't know. There just has to be a better solution for people like this, for pedos, right? Who multiple children over multiple years. Like, you just got to be removed, dude. You just got to be. No, we're done. We're done with this. We're modifying the justice system to legally remove you from this plane of existence. Okay, that's just what's happening. Sorry, bro.
There is a
better
solution,
luck
and it is,
next year.
There is a solution. It is a more final one, and even if it's not by our hand, it could be a self-financing issue.
True. 41%. Now, here's another thing. We're hopping back across the pond, back to the U.S. Although, actually, no, we're going to hold off on that one for just a second, because while we're in the UK, we might as well talk about it. Let's talk about the Green Party in the UK for a moment. Now, the Green Party is the most liberal, is the most gay, and it's also run by a man called Zach Polanski. Now, Zach Polanski, as you know, is a Jew, and he is arguing in the UK as the leader of the Green Party to remove Christianity as Britain's national religion if they win. So the Jew is arguing for the removal of Christianity as Britain's national religion to usher in the Muslims, aka the Gates of Toledo? The Gates of Toledo? What? Gates of Toledo reference in 2026? Wild. In this economy? Wild, dude. It's like they do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. That's wild. Very strange.
I wonder if this guy's related to Roman at all.
Roman Polanski, yeah. Funny last name, very similar sounding. Anyways, let's hop back across the pond, okay? Because we have teens, okay? We have teens causing problems. I hate teens. Breaking point, hundreds of teens flooded Washington, D.C.'s upscale Navy Yard neighborhood, sparking fights, robberies, and gunfire in what officials described as juvenile takeover. Juvenile takeover. Teens and gunfire, they just go hand in hand. You know, you can't have a good day without teens and a little bit of gunfire. Former Biden White House advisor Yemesi Egbewelo, I'm going to keep it real with you, Mr. Biden White House advisor. You should probably be removed too. Okay, I'm just going off of a little bit of a name check. Let me check the etymology of Yemesi. Warned that blue cities need to wake up, saying tolerating the behavior is unfair to both the residents and the kids involved. I agree. I do agree with the statement, though, okay? No toleration of this behavior. In fact, straight to jail or, you know, other places. It's just a funny thing that wherever these types of people go, wherever third worlders go, it just looks like a third world hellhole. Like, that's it. It's just wherever third worlders go, they just create another third world hellhole. It's just very strange. You don't want to live here. You don't want to have your kids here. You don't want to have a business here. You don't want to be within 1,000 miles of these teens. You don't like the gunfire. You don't like the fights. You don't like the theft, the robbery, the rapes. You don't like this stuff breaking out in your neighborhood? I know, like, I hate teens, of course. The chat hates teens, of course, but why can't anybody just do something about it, right? I feel it's almost like we're demoralized to a point where we just have to watch it happen and then laugh at the cities as if it's not, like, destroying our country and our nation and only getting worse and worse and worse. At some point, right? At some point, something has to give, right? And it's not something that we should be looking forward to. It's just a necessary condition of our society. It's just a necessary condition of the people, the powers that be, allowing this to happen. Is at some point the bill comes due, and the question is really, is it going to be my generation, which I hope it is, or is it going to be my children's generation, which I hope it's not? Got a couple of teens in chat. Do we have teens in chat? They're running to the closest KFC. That's funny. That's funny. Oh, is it? Too Many Choices. He's been here a lot. I know that he likes.
He hangs out.
But listen. If Too Many Choices is like, I defended my people, I like my culture and this stuff, it's like, I don't care. Like, on an individual level, I don't care, like, at all, right? I just understand that people are not replaceable. People groups are not replaceable, right? And so I don't have any ill will towards any individual. I don't have the time of day for that. But as a society, we can't allow this sort of thing to continue, you know? And again, if even somebody like Too Many Choices was like, well, actually, this sort of behavior is fine, y'all just tripping, I'd be like, well, yeah, you're my enemy. It's fine. It's whatever, dude. Don't really care. Gene Lemmings, I do care. I have ill will. Yeah. Ill intent. All right. Well, let's see here. And, you know, everybody asks, when do I become dangerous? I have young kids. I played sports growing up. I played sports growing up, I am in some ways worried about letting my children play sports. Not because like, oh, they're going to, something's going to happen to them, but if I saw somebody do this to one of my children over what looks to be an elementary school basketball game, I would probably have to end a bloodline. I think that would be the fair, just response here.
Until recently, I thought that every other sport had been taken over and was no longer safe except for hockey. I thought hockey was still a safe sport. But
well, the only famous black player in hockey literally murdered someone on the ice rink and then got deported for visa issues. Womp womp. Anyways, but here are socioeconomic factors at play. Now, notice how gigantic one of the blacks is on screen because he failed the 5th grade 9 times. Now, fortunately, I live in an area where I don't have this sort of ethnic problem, but people at a very, very young age have no impulse control. No impulse control whatsoever. And again, like, somebody's got to put a stop to it, right? No, guess what, kid? You don't get to attempt to murder somebody just because you're upset and you're losing a game or something like that, or you're just retarded and too stupid to know the difference. I don't know. I don't particularly care, all right? Your motives aren't really all that important to me. I just know you have to stop. Gotta stop, buddy. And I want to have a talk with your dad, okay? All right, we're gonna have a little problem here.
You'll have to get a visitor's pass for the day, sir.
OG says, if stuff like this happened in the NBA, I might actually watch it. True, dude, true, okay? But that's adults, okay? And they signed up for it, and they got paid millions of dollars. This isn't Timmy going for a dribble or a pass and getting dumped on his head because Okonda, who's been in the 5th grade for 9 years, decided to get angry because he didn't have the ball in his hands or something,
So the NBA back in the day did have a couple of very, very famous brawls. A couple of players went up into the stands and started fights with fans that threw beers down on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. They used to.
But I mean, listen, like before sports were gay, I mean, there is a time where sports are cool, right? When it's a sense of national pride, when it's a sense of local pride, when there's like actual stakes involved. But now it's just foreigners getting paid millions of dollars to play for billionaires who are subverting you via ads and goy slop, right? I mean, it's literally like it's just miscegenation, it's just indoctrination, it's just demoralization, it's just disgusting, right? Everything involved with sports ball in 2026 is just disgusting and gross, right? If you care about sports ball because it's like your family's into it or something, like whatever, but I can't be bothered. I cannot be bothered to care about sports ball in any way, shape, or form. These aren't my people. These aren't my players. They're not playing for any ideals. There's nothing cool about it in any way, shape, or form. It's just gay retards being gay retards. And they can't even beat each other up anymore. It's not even fun. Hockey is still fun to watch. Well, hockey is pretty base. It's like 99% base, right? I still don't watch it because even if you watch a bunch of white people playing playing hockey, they're still playing for billionaires, and they're still, the ads and everything else is just propaganda. It's just straight up slop into your mind. Straight up slop. Slop maxing on TV is all sports ball is. Let me see. We have one more story. Well, why don't we end it with a bit of a positive note, shall we? We're going to end it with a bit of a W here. Not this. This I just saw. And if there was one screenshot that summed up American public transportation, there's just something about American public transportation that's just not safe, you know? No, thank you. No, thank you. And I mean, not to stereotype or anything, but I feel like if people viewed certain individuals like this, you know, as scary and threatening, we would have fewer Irina Zarutskas. True. Anyways, how about a little bit of a couple W's to end with. Here we have the classic ethnic hunting ground of McDonald's, I want to say, where two ethnics are fighting the ethnic behind the counter, all right, because of some sort of disagreement with fries or burgers or, you know, mayonnaise or something, right? There's some sort of, you know, ethnic entanglement going on here in the McDonald's that we have the privilege of watching on our safari here.
Is it not the sauce packets again?
I don't know, but this is just blue on blue violence here, tard on tard violence, and they get their just desserts. You know, maybe they weren't looking for an apple pie, but they got their just desserts.
Man, he handed out some McFlurry.
Now, this must be a recurring theme because, yes, the man behind the counter goes and he grabs what appears to be some sort of metal pole. And I don't know if he has a metal pole staged for when ethnics be acting up a little bit, but he just gets right to it. He's like, no, I'm not playing this game. I'm not playing this game. You're both going down. I'm beating you to death with a metal pole. Congratulations, you've won the grand prize. She tries to get back up and just gets BTFO'd. The other guys, if you notice it too, he's like hitting as one of them is like crawling away this way and he's like hitting them on the back. Now, listen, this white girl here who attempts to intervene, like, no. Here's the thing. White savior complex based, okay? White altruism based. Unfortunately, it should be for your own people, not for people that hate you and will kill you at the early, like, you're so retarded and stupid and have no survival instincts whatsoever that you should be altruistic when it comes to, like, children, okay? You should want to get in the middle of that. You should want to contain and make sure people are happy. Like, women are really good at being social enforcers, right, in a just, good society. However, every single person in this image, other than you, does not care about you at all. Not at all. You're nothing to them, all right? So putting yourself in a dangerous situation, retarded, all right? It's like the statue of the little girl in front of the bowl, and she's looking like she can stop it. Not going to happen. Not going to happen, okay? Not your place. Well, yeah, women have been propagandized into believing that saving brown people is based, right? And it's really not. You know, you should be looking after your own people, your own family, right? They've been propagandized out of having their own family. And so that altruism, that female instinct has to go somewhere. And the media tells you it's actually brown people and immigrants. Yes, that's white people are evil. You know, just your own families are evil. Having white children is literally fascist, literally Hitler or something. And so you need to put that altruism, that womanly instincts, you need to put that towards brown people, towards immigrants. You know, I just say the browns or the ethnics, okay? Not your own people, because your own people don't matter. You're evil. But like the ethnics, yes, try and save them. And so literally women have been propagandized to the point where they will sacrifice their own life for an ethnic because they think it's somehow virtuous, right? Because women are easily propagandized and women should have that sort of instinct towards their own people, but they've been propagandized and contorted, and they've taken that good natural instinct and inverted it into something that it shouldn't be, right? And again, if women didn't have any power in society, if they didn't vote, if they didn't have any, financial control, none of it would matter at all, because their worst impulses, they wouldn't be able to do anything about it. Funny thing, when you just tell women no, society gets better. Yeah, I don't know what happened to that McDonald's worker. I kind of hope he got away free and clear, but you never know. You never know what would happen. But that was not the W we're ending on. We're ending on a true W here. Okay, this is a priest in Florida faces a fine of over $500,000 for feeding the homeless. A priest in Florida faces a fine of over $500,000 for feeding the homeless. Rezoning led to Father Bob's soup kitchen being suddenly ruled illegal to run in 2014, but he's kept going for the past 12 years and refuses to stop helping others. Now, this is actually based. This is a very base priest who is doing what he feels he is called to, helping out the homeless in his area and keeping his soup kitchen open and ignoring the unjust rezoning of his kitchen, you know, and the fact that they're trying to sue him or fine him $500,000 for this, absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. So this is a dub for Father Bob and his soup kitchen, and I hope that he continues to do his work. And it's just a guy doing the right thing, keeping his soup kitchen open, and damning the HOA/government contractors who don't want him to do so.
Now, do we know what part of Florida?
I do not know. I mean, you can just look up Father Bob's Soup Kitchen, which I will.
I'm just saying the county zoning commission is a public. No, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Priest faced $500,000 in fines for feeding homeless amid lawsuit. Well, listen, you could argue, oh, well, the people shouldn't be homeless in the first place. That's not Father Bob's fault, right? Father Bob is just providing a meal to people, okay? He's actually doing good for people and trying to, you know, evangelize people in a proper way, right? He's giving them a hot meal, okay?
Florida does have a homeless population, but it is nowhere near like Seattle or Oregon or anything like that. It is a lot of homeless veterans with PTSD.
Yeah. And again, you can argue, oh, well, the homeless people shouldn't be there in the first place. That's not Father Bob's job. All right. That's not his job. His job is just to do what he's commanded to do, which is feed them. Okay. That's it. I do like how they use unhoused people. Sorry for their nomenclature. It's so obnoxious. Long and short of the case, we are suing them to stop the harassment because it's over $500,000. It's $125 a day since 2014. Damn, 100. You know, every now and again, the fines don't sound, you know, that heavy. It's like, oh, you get fined $125 a day. Like, that's not that much. And then you're like, oh, 14 years, it's $500,000. Yeah. Pray for him in his soup kitchen, doing the Lord's work, literally, not even metaphorically there, doing a good job. And I pray that he continues to do so, you know, and a $500,000 fine for operating a soup kitchen is so egregious. It's such an overstep. Meanwhile, of course, you know, their beaches are overrun with teens shooting up the place. Of course, they're going to fine a soup kitchen $500,000 because he's technically not allowed to run a soup kitchen because that area has been rezoned since 2014. Right, buddy. Right, buddy.
I wonder if they rezoned the beach into a shooting range.
Yeah, that's what they should do. They just need to rezone the beach into a shooting range, and then it's all kosher. Yes, and that is true. It's an anarcho-tyranny. So tyranny for the people doing good, tyranny for law-abiding citizens. If you step out of line, you will get crushed. However, if you're an ethnic, you could just literally shoot up a beach or do, you know, takeovers and robberies and thefts in DC, you know, because it's spring breakers. Your sunbathers, your teens, you know, can't appropriate. We can't hold those people liable. That's terrible. Yeah, listening to your wife is generally frowned upon in scripture. Proverbs 31, was that written by Solomon, I want to say? But yeah, who can find a good woman? Her worth is more than rubies. It's like, the meme is that there's very few of them. And if you have one, you should hold on to it and not be a retard, okay?
I don't know if you caught it earlier, but Proverbs 22:15 for the gentleman there at McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to make a joke about is it Psalms 31, my rod and my staff, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And it's a physical rod, and then the staff, the McDonald's staff are beating up the guy, which would be funny. Is it 22:15?
Yeah.
Folly is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of discipline will drive it far away. That's true. Spare the rod, spoil the child. It's not my fault that your child's 21 years old. Even then, listen, just gotta stop. You just gotta stop listening. Like, my wife's great. My wife's fantastic. We have 3 kids together. I know that I caught the last chopper out of Nam, but there are still good women out there. There are still good families out there, good people having kids and doing the right thing. It's just gonna take a lot of work, and it's a lot harder now than it used to be. But again, the only thing you can't do is give up. That's it. It's the only way, to surefire way to lose, is to give up. Baseball Kid over on Rumble for $20 says, catch the Jake's Feet song on the VOD. You know what that means.
This is a song of the summer shit. You know it's funny. Walk on stage with no shoes on. All I need is feet, boy, I'm too gone. Hey, Jake money, big toe money. This is a song of the summer shit. You know it's funny. Walk on stage with no shoes on. All I need is feet, boy, I'm too gone. My feet feel good. Your feet, where they should. Y'all just sitting in the grass with a cigarette. Jake money, big toe money. That's a bigger check. Walking in, everybody.
Man, every time it's over, I'm like, oh, I was just getting into it. Nick Hers against the wall over on Ko-Fi says, Niger Ball Association equals NBA. Good to know. Thank you, Nick Hers against the wall. Let's see. Subarctic Noticer becomes a Ko-Fi Caffeine Crip. Appreciate that, sir. Everyday American for 5 says, militias are cringe. When a shithead a fan, you are on your own. You will be responsible for your family, by yourself, act accordingly. I disagree. Like, if you have neighbors or a community or anything around you, like, you should want to not be alone. You should want to be in a community of like-minded people, because on your own, like, even if you have a 10-year supply of water, food, fuel, all of that, at some point it's just going to run out, right? So if you're in this like apocalypse scenario, the lights are never coming back on type scenario, you don't want that. You want to live in a community, like think about frontier towns, right? Or anything like that. Like, nobody's just living out there by themselves. A few exceptions here and there, but you want, for safety, you want to live in a community of like-minded people. So get to know your neighbors, or maybe move together with people into a certain area, and you can have a position of strength, so to speak. So that's what I would say. That's the most ideal. Thank you, Everyday American.
And 10 years of rice and beans doesn't do you a whole lot of good if you got to go to sleep on day 3 and you get robbed.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be more than just yourself, bro. That's the surefire, because guess what? Me and my buddies are going to come and take your stuff. I'm just kidding. Zanico for 2 says, say a slur, Fed boy, bag it. Polly B for 2 says, sunbathers, New York Post, always good for an N euphemism. Yeah, they got to be creative these days. Got to slip them by unnoticed, or at least try to. Thank you, Polly. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing good out there. Chips Dubbo for 10 says, lurking tonight, but here's for the war chest, Captain. Appreciate that, Chips Dubbo. Thank you very much. Hope you're having a good night, sir. Josh for 5 says, bows respectfully. 1,000 years of prosperity to you, John. May your pockets be filled with precious jade and terracotta. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Josh. I appreciate you very much. Same to you, okay? I bow in respect as well, okay? As a symbol of respect, mutual respect. Chips Double for 5 says, in the end, they will reap what they have sown. Yes, and us as well, right? So it's easy to point and laugh and call out all the other people's bad behavior, but we do have to turn that inwards as well, and we all need redemption, right? So I know that we talk about other people a lot on this show, as that's kind of like the point of it, is to talk about what's going on in the world. But it is also important to have that introspection, to, not be looking at slivers while we got a plank in our own eye. Thank you, Chips Debo. I appreciate that, sir. Skrunk for 10 says, it can be disheartening to see the world going to shit, but it also means that Jesus lived and died for your sins, and that he's coming back for you. Christ is king now and forever. Thank you, Skrunk. And I honestly, I know it's bad right now. The barbarians are in the city, so to speak, right? But that's just the way the world is. I think when we look back ideally to this time of peace that we think, between like 1950 and 1970 is like the golden age of Americana, or the 90s or something, But that's just not the way the world is. The world is war. The world is war. The world is fighting. The world is struggle, and that is, the consequences of sin are within us all. And so I think if you should have the mentality, not of the unfortunate warrior who's kind of like forced to do it, but of the happy warrior. Life is bad and we get to live it. Life is hard and we get to struggle. Life is hard and we get to do the fun things, you know? Yeah, it's just the way life is. Like, you can complain about your time and space, but you've been ordained for this time and space, and it's up to you to do the best with it, you know? So I try to never get disheartened, you know, because somebody's like, oh, well, bad things are going to happen in the future. And I'm like, yeah, I know, right? It's cool, right? It's like good things are going to happen in the future. It's like, yeah, I know, right? Cool. Heck yeah. Let's go. Is what it is, you know? Thank you, Skrunk. I appreciate it. Pauly B for 2 says it's all so invigorating. Yes, invigorating. It all should be. So invigorating. Thank you, Pauly. Josh for 2 says Richard the eunuch has lost the mandate of heaven. Yes, is fallen from favor, dishonored son, kicked out. Lost Arrow for 2 says China needs the jade mines. It's mandated. All right. We're jade posting in chat still. Fair enough. Thank you, Lost Arrow. Appreciate it. Pauly B for 2 says longest suffering San Diegan in the chat. Dude, Pauly, I don't understand how you do it there. That has got to be absolutely miserable, dude. Miserable.
Why do you stay? There's got to be other areas, even in California.
Zadico for 2 says strawberry or grape jelly on PB&J. As a kid, I loved PB&J. I haven't had it in a long time. I'm going to say strawberry, though. Like, I think strawberry is more traditional, and I'm a traditional guy, so strawberry. Strawberry on PB&J. Yeah. Richard?
See, I disagree. I think grape is more traditional, but I agree that strawberry is better. I will have peanut butter and jelly on toast like once every 10 days or something like that for breakfast, just because it's quick, easy, sugar, protein out the door. But I cannot do grape jelly anymore because it's pure sugar. It is just pure sugar.
Well, I mean, yeah, of course. But you eat it because it tastes good, not because it's healthy for you.
No,
that's how you get kids to eat it, bro. That's how it happens.
It's too sweet. No, but strawberry is definitely superior. And if I'm going to get specific, they have one
Richard,
called, Simply Fruit.
Richard, that was a really long answer to just say strawberry.
A specific type of strawberry.
Thank you, Zadico. Appreciate it. Sheepherder for 5 says Dova Hadi on YouTube has a funny segment on the Jews during Hadrian's run as emperor. 5 good emperors vid at 1855, about 1.5 minutes long. Yeah, I haven't watched a lot of the Pax Romana channels in a while because I like went through their entire catalog of videos, but lots of good stuff in there, and I recommend checking that out as well. Thank you, Sheepherder. Appreciate it, sir. Bloodbase for 10 says bunch of lunchtime rowdies in the chat. Bunch of slack-jawed faggots in here. This stuff will make you a sexual tyrannosaurus. Thank you, Bloodbase. Appreciate that. Very based, Mr. Blood. Zadico for 2, very important question. Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Well, I'm a Dr. Pepper guy. I really am. I mean, I literally drank a Diet Dr. Pepper during the stream. I am a Dr. Pepper guy. But between the two, I would say Coke.
Regular or cherry?
I think they're both good. It depends on what I've had last. I'll have anything, I'm not particularly, with my ethnics, okay, I'm very, very selective, okay? But when it comes to pop, like as long as it doesn't have sugar, give me the chemicals. As long as it's sugar-free, I'll drink it, okay?
Regular Coke, but cherry Pepsi. And I don't care for any of the Dr. Peppers except for the flavored.
Wow, that's wild that he doesn't like Dr. Pepper. Crazy times.
Not regular Dr. Pepper. I like it. I'm talking about the flavored ones that they've come out with. I don't like any of those.
Polly over on Ko-Fi for $20. Where'd it go? Is this the new one? Where'd I put the new one? There it is.
We got a number 2 coming off my ears, and my cabinet's about to get brown. Get brown on poop on the floor right now. Just shout about King Daisy.
Thank you. Says Trump truthed 70 minutes ago about making Venezuela the 51st state. Now, Trump says a lot of retarded things. You know, that's kind of like the charm, right? Is he says one thing and then does another, or he escalates and then backs off. So I don't believe that. Now, that would be a disaster, of course, because that would just be handing the Democrats another state. That would just be handing a license for all Venezuelans to import here. That would be miserable. Congratulations. We just further ruined your demographics. Great. Thank you. I actually have a friend who talked about this, and I thought he was a bit too pole-brained. How stupid I feel. I am prepared to promulgate the 25th Amendment agitprop now. Total traitor. I think that is Trump bloviating as he tends to do. I don't think that's a real thing. All right.
What are we up to now? 11 or 12 51st states?
Yeah, I mean, Greenland makes more sense because Greenland would actually not be cringe, you know.
Cuba makes more sense than Venezuela.
But I wouldn't give Cuba either. There's no benefit. There's no benefit to making them a state. You can be a territory. You don't get to vote.
Not a state. You just do a Puerto Rico thing.
Yeah, you're just a territory. Congratulations. You're a military base, essentially, and we allow you to live there, you know. You'll be breeding grounds for our Marines, actually. That's actually what's going to happen. There's going to be Marine breeding ground. Stephen Harris over on Ko-Fi says, strawberries will literally kill me with anaphylactic shock, literally choking me to death. Hot? What? No thanks. I'll have peach or grape. Grape? Grape? Good to know, Mitzvot. I will not serve you a strawberry sandwich as I was planning on. Josh for 2 says, the tea leaves spell misfortune for you, Richard. Good to know. Not much of a tea leaf reader myself, but I'm glad Josh has got it on lock to give us updates on Richard's potential future endeavors. All right, now
reading tea leaves is hereditary for him.
Probably. It has to do with the eyes, the widescreen aspect ratio. Mustacheoli? See, I have to look this up because I actually don't know what, and you misspelled it because it's actually 2 C's. Or spaghetti. I love spaghetti, dude. I'm looking at Mustacheoli right now. It looks fine. It looks like almost lasagna-esque. You know, it's like pasta and cheese and meat. It's like, okay, looks good. But I'm a spaghetti guy, you know? I like spaghetti. I think it's really good. What about you, Richard?
I'm typical white trash. Spaghetti all the way. With hot dogs, even if you're poor enough.
That was way too poor for me. Hooked on Phonics. No, I'm retarded, dude. I very, very retarded. You laugh about Hooked on Phonics as if I didn't do that during class homeschool. Hooked on Phonics was my jam. But yeah.
They don't put city names in there.
No. Well, it's Mustacholi. I don't know. Mostaccii. Houston. Houston. No, but it's Hugh. Like they say H-U-E, Houston, instead of Houston. Because phonetically it'd be Houston, right? But you say it H-U-E, Houston, is how it's supposed to be. I say it both ways because it's funny, right? And then Texans will correct me, and then I will correct them and tell them that they're gay. Just how it works. Sorry. I don't make the rules. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Richard, what do you got going on?
Oh, I'm going to be going and catching up on some sleep tonight because I haven't slept for like the last 3 nights. But I think tomorrow night, weather permitting, I might go live for a few. I've got a bunch of stuff to clean up and probably going to have a fire. So if you guys want to come hang out.
Heck yeah, I am dropping the link to Richard's Headspace, or Richard's Cranium, in the YouTube and Rumble chat. Go over there and subscribe to it right now, or else you are gay. All right. Well, with all of that out of the way, Zanico comes in. Well, let me get out of here. Says, John, are you coming to range day with Richard and I? Unless I knew when and where it was. No. Duh. You haven't even told me about it. How dare you? You're just dropping me on this live, trying to back me into a quarter here. I hate sunbathers.
True, dude. Into an obligation.
Yeah, it's trying to make me obligated. I'm obligated to do nothing, nowhere, no time. But no, I don't know. Maybe if I knew when and where it was, maybe, you know, then there'd be a possibility. Right now, it's not. Yeah, that's right. Sean is subscribed and super straight, mega based. All right, guys. with all that out of the way, I want to thank each and every one of you for watching, for hanging out with us over here on YouTube, Rumble, and for like the 6 of you hanging out over on X. You guys are very based. You make the channel and my world go round. So this one's for you, baby. Whoa. I just got jump scared by my own voice over there. But with all that out of the way, gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And Godspeed. God bless. Christ is King.
Auf der Heide blüht ein kleines Blümelein und das heißt Erika. In der Heimat wohnt ein kleines Mädelein und das heißt Erika. Dieses Mädel ist mein treues Schätzelein.